What is up, fantasy endgame community? My name is Pierre, and his name is Chris. We're here to help you win at fantasy football, plain and simple. We're going to do that tonight by answering your questions. We're going to put them up here on the screen, some chats, and hopefully help you, number one, with waiver wire advice because, it is Tuesday night and a lot of waivers in a lot of leagues run tonight. So try to answer those questions. Who should you add? Who can you drop? Etc. Of course, check out the video if you haven't already. Waiver wire pickups for the week 5, and you're going to get some early waiver wire pickups to get ahead of the game later this week. And as far as who to drop, well, hopefully you already checked out that panic video that Chris drops on Sunday night, so you can immediately start worrying about your roster. So before we get into all of your questions, let me also remind you that if you do have a question, again, we'll try to get to them all, but it's not realistic. If you go ahead and throw up a super chat, we will definitely get to those first and guarantee your question gets answered. So just some helpful advice, because that's how this tends to go. If you want to throw out your question in the Discord, that's a good way to join for absolutely free. Link is in the description below. You can join it, join the conversation, or you can just be kind of like a voyeur and just watch what everyone talks about. We have all sorts of channels in there: waiver wire, start sit, trade, dynasty, general, off topic, all sorts of things. So you can chat with not only Chris and I, but our superb endgame community. And you might want to consider doing a few things. Number one, be a patron. Okay, if you join patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame, that gets you access to a whole lot of things, such as weekly rankings as soon as they come out for us and updated throughout the week. And then our start sit show that you might know about on Saturday, where we try to answer as many questions as possible. Patrons get their own start sit show on Sunday morning with the latest news, much smaller setting, and other things. All right. Are we good to go, Chris? I think we're ready, right?
I think we're ready. Let's go. I'm sure we already have tons of questions coming in. So let's see how many we can bang out here.
All right. And last but not least, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll know as soon as we go live, we do this, meaning live stream YouTube, answering your questions 4 times a week, including that one just for our patrons. And in absolutely no shock whatsoever, definitely not an upset here on Tuesday night. First super chat of the night goes to, you guessed it,
Tyler.
Our man Tyler.
What's up, Tyler? Currently undefeated. That's a good feeling. That's like the nice thing about being undefeated is you can like really look at your roster and really figure out like, okay, what can I do to turn this into like a super team? Like you're not desperate. Like, oh my God, I got to pick up like Tyler Algier or Corey Davis and start him this week, right? You don't have to worry about that stuff. You're like, let's turn this thing into a juggernaut. So well done.
Yeah, funny timing on that because, early in the year, look, after week 1, I like to do nothing, right? Like, you might have to drop some guys, but you do not want to be the one who pulls the trigger and spends all your fab on the week 1 wonder, right? OJ Howard and whatever. Remember that OJ Howard thing?
Yep.
Okay. But it's funny because this week already, today, I think I've made 2 trades and we're kind of negotiating a third one. I mean, and not just me and you, but we did pull off a trade. I traded with Young Money in another league. And now it's like, now the trade market's getting hot. And some of you like to trade really early, but I feel like now's a good time, right? You kind of see where your team is at, right? If you're in the middle of the pack, maybe you're undefeated, maybe you're, winless team. And now you kind of say, okay, here's what I need. And especially with all these injuries. So, with that said, Tyler, a great follow-up question. Is this the time to trade Hollywood since DeAndre Hopkins is returning next week?
I guess you can't ever say no. Like if you're trading Hollywood and you're getting the upgrade, like if you're trading them for, a great running back or something like that, then sure, do it. But don't trade Hollywood just because you're worried about Hopkins coming back. No, I wouldn't do that. Like if you're getting a big time upgrade.
Yeah, don't trade him just for the sake of trading him because he's still going to be targeted a ton. Now, look, obviously he leads the team by a wide margin in target share. Yeah, I can see that dropping, but he's still going to get targeted enough. He's also a guy who isn't necessarily volume dependent. Of course, his kind of, signature was getting the deep ball. So I wouldn't necessarily do that, but
the other thing really quick, because I know a lot of people are concerned about that. If you look at Hopkins last year, he became more of like an intermediate, possession kind of receiver, not like a, not like a slot guy, but the guy who ran like, okay, 3rd and 7, we need a first down, find Hopkins at like 8-9 yards and hit him, right? He's no longer like really a big vertical threat anymore at this point of his career. So I think Hopkins helps Hollywood because now Hollywood gets to move into the slot, run those vertical, like Christian Kirk last year, run those vertical routes out of the slot. I think if anything, Hopkins helps him. So love Hollywood this year.
Might help the whole offense, which they kind of need help at this point.
That too. That too.
And then does this matter? He's following up again. He's saying he already has Hopkins. Does that matter to you?
Honestly,
like, maybe you don't want too many Cardinals?
I mean, I don't worry about that, but I might be trying to move Hopkins, actually. He might be the one I'm trying to trade. Maybe not right now because he's still a couple weeks away. So, but maybe when he's, after week 6, when everybody knows he's coming back and everybody's super excited, DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. Maybe that's the time to trade him for, a solid RB2 that can help your team or something.
And actually, that's a good point because he's got a 6-game suspension. We're going to week 5, so this week and next week. But also what happens next week is bye week start, and that's when you might see some teams in your league maybe a little more desperate at wide receiver. They got these buys, maybe an injury happens, and maybe they realize, wait, I'm not as deep as I thought. Maybe I could use a wide receiver. Maybe now I'm 1-4 instead of 1-3. So I would wait a week before you do anything, and then maybe start dangling Hopkins out there. I think that's a good idea. And then would you do this? Would you trade away Godwin for Hopkins?
No, you got to be really encouraged by what you saw with Godwin on Sunday night. And look, he's still recovering from ACL. Just had that soft tissue injury. He's only going to get better. So I think if you have Godwin, you're feeling great right now. Feeling great, or you should be feeling great.
This is not the time to trade away Godwin. This is the time to trade for Godwin, although really the time to trade for Godwin was before last week. And in fact, I think you had him as a buy low candidate, didn't you, a couple weeks ago?
I think I had did I have him this week? I don't know if it was this week or last week, but yes, I had him as a buy low.
Yeah.
And that window's closing, if it's not already.
Yeah, this is not the time, you know. I know you think Tom Brady is not worried about football right now and he's focused. No, Tom Brady doesn't care. I mean, that's the whole point. That's the exact problem. Is Tom Brady cares too much about football. All right,
yes. He's
He's not going to be distracted. I don't. No. If anything, he's going to be a little extra motivated and juiced up, right?
True.
Make sure the season is really worth it. Okay, let's get away from that. All right, waiver wire question. This is interesting. I'm going to give you your thoughts because I see Rachaad White his name is invoked, so you always get first shot there.
Well, this is easily Rachaad White for me because I don't even view, even if you're I need a guy this week, I don't feel like Boone or Latavius Murray are going to help you very much this week anyways. Latavius Murray probably not at all. It's very unlikely he'll be activated, but you never know. But he did just, they did just sign him and they have a game on Thursday. Rachaad White has so much more upside than either of these guys. Like Boone will be what Boone is. Latavius Murray will be what he is. But Rachaad White could literally be the RB1 in Tampa Bay. If Rachaad White is on your waiver, I'm not going to say he's the number one ad, but to me, he's one of the top ads this week. And it doesn't seem like anybody's adding him. When you look at the transaction trends on Yahoo, because I'm really nervous because I dropped him in a casual league last week to make space. I'm like, no one's going to pick him up in a casual league. And then he goes out and scores a touchdown. But I'm looking at the transaction trends, the ads, and he's still way down there. He's 20th on ads this week. Nobody's adding this guy. I'm I don't understand. This guy is this close to being a true league-winning running back, and Boone and Latavius Murray will never be league-winning running back. So that's a long way of saying out of these three, it's definitely Rachaad White.
Even when Latavius Murray was the number one running back in his prime for the Raiders, back when they were, I think, in Oakland, he wasn't a league winner. All right. No. So look, here's the thing. Rachaad White. Yeah, I think we've talked about him enough, right? I think we've talked about him since way before.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Okay. But here's another thing, and patrons know this because breakdown, not just the waiver wire video we do, but I give a detailed breakdown of each position in the player and why I like or don't really love each player, and I put them in order. And my number one running back this week was Rachaad White. All right. And that was even after the Javonte news. Now, here's the thing. I was not super excited about Boone anyways because we know, number one, he's not a pass catcher, right? Melvin Gordon is pretty good at catching the ball. He's still going to be the guy. He's still going to be the guy who gets the ball near the goal line, not Boone. And Russell Wilson's taking it himself too a lot. Boone is a very, very low floor, like 0. And now that Latavius Murray has been signed to the Broncos, that actually makes me think maybe Boone isn't even worth adding at all, because people might laugh, oh, Latavius Murray, what did he do? He come off the practice squad, got 50 yards and a touchdown for the Saints because they trust him more than like Dwayne Washington or Tony Jones or whoever, because he's done it before. Why did the Broncos sign Latavius Murray? Because they're super confident in Mike Boone? Apparently not. I mean, guys, I always say this, NFL teams do things for a reason. They pulled Jordan Howard off the street in Philadelphia last year, and he scored how many touchdowns, right? They will do this because he's a guy that is a known commodity. So I guess that's a long way of saying Rachaad White is clearly number 1 here. Latavius Murray, I actually think I might pick him up over Boone.
Yeah.
But I'll say that also there is one league where I do have Javonte Williams, and there's nobody on the waiver wire, so I'm forced to pick up both Latavius Murray and Mike Boone, although I hope I get them because it's one of our in-game leagues. So.
Yeah, good. I'm sure you will. In-game community, not on them.
All right. AMC Machines, sell high and Penny Algier. All right, Chris, you talked about your sell highs in the trade video. What do you think of these guys?
Yeah, I think they're both sell highs, especially Penny coming off that huge game. I think now's the time to move them. Obviously, you got to sell them high though, right? Like I see people like sell high and then they post this trade offer and it's like, Rashad Penny and I'm going to get Laviska Shenault. It's like, that's not selling high. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's extreme, but that was the name that came to my head for some reason. But you know DJ what I'm
Moore.
saying? Like,
you can just say DJ Moore. It's the same thing.
DJ Moore or something like that. Exactly. Like not really even an upgrade, right? Like, but sell them high, but actually sell them high. And same with Algier. Like, if there's a team who's desperate at running back, which there's a lot of them right now, yeah, trade these guys, get a good wide receiver in return, something like that. Yeah.
I think Algier is almost a must sell. I mean, not just for nothing, like not for like Laviska Shenault, but look, he was fine, but this will be still kind of a committee. Huntley or whoever, Damian Williams is going to come off IR. He's going to be playing again in a week or two, a couple of weeks. And Cordero Patterson's season is not over. He's going to miss 4 weeks. Maybe he'll miss more, but his season isn't over. So you got to always think long-term. Weeks, 13, 14, 15, 16, when it's right before and during the fantasy playoffs, what is Tyler Algier going to do for your team?
Probably not a lot.
Maybe something, maybe nothing. So this is the time to sell Algier. Penny is different. But again, guys, I know this sounds crazy now because, Kenneth Walker. Don't be shocked if Kenneth Walker does touch the ball more throughout the second half of the season. Also, try to, contain your shock if Rashad Penny gets hurt. So, I think both these guys are definitely tradable.
Yes.
All right, well, here's an easy answer. Can I get rid of Chase Edmonds? I mean, you can use the drop button, but
that's it. You're not gonna trade Chase Edmonds. You got to drop. I mean, right now Chase Edmonds is nothing more than like kind of a high-end handcuff, I guess.
I mean, who knows? He's still going to get touches. By the year's end, it might be these Mostert and Edmonds are kind of even in touches, which means that neither one was really worth holding on to all year, right? I mean, you don't have to drop him because he's still going to get some work, but yeah, I mean, could you even trade? Well, who would trade for him right now?
Nobody. Nothing. Maybe you can get Laviska Shenault. Maybe.
Casa. All right. So we got a start sit question here. Are you going to flex this week? And that's fine, guys. We'll do start sit now. Of course, we'll do it on Saturday. We'll be there all evening long. But let's start with Amari Cooper or Allen Lazard.
Okay, so this is actually tough because it should be Cooper fairly easily, but I didn't watch the game last week, so I don't know, but I can only assume that AJ Terrell shadowed Cooper or shadowed him a lot, and that's why they couldn't throw to him. Like, that's why Brissett couldn't hit him, or maybe it's just because Brissett played out of his mind for 3 weeks and then came back down to earth. Maybe a combination of both. I don't know. But now he gets J.C. Jackson. That's worse than AJ Terrell. Like, look, AJ Terrell is great, but J.C. Jackson is greater. Like, it's just the truth. And we know Cooper's the kind of guy that can get just taken out of games, right? He can just get taken out of games completely. So I don't think there's anybody on the Giants that can stop Lazard and the way they use him. Can I really put Lazard in over Cooper, though? I still think I have to. I'm like trying to talk myself out of Cooper, but I don't think I can do it. I think I still have to go Cooper, but man, I hate it. I hate it.
Well, it's tough because, yeah, Lazard's coming off his best game, but here's the thing with Cooper. Look, I think a lot of the thing is they weren't really effective passing the ball because Nick Chubb was running over him. They didn't really have to pass a lot. And the Chargers have a pretty bad run defense this year, too. I mean, it's going to be another Chubb game. I think Cooper, yeah, he might be kind of dependent on that deep ball, that touchdown, but Lazard is kind of always that guy. Look, the Giants, I think, actually have a better pass defense this year than the Chargers, too. It kind of, and we talked about this because, one of my boom picks on our video that's going to come out soon, I talked about this. The Giants it's too early to call any defense like a funnel or a reverse funnel defense. Giants are kind of getting there, right? They're kind of getting there. They have a pretty tough pass defense, but they have a terrible run defense.
But I'll say real quick, just devil's advocate on that. Who have they played? The Bears, the Panthers. Like, if they played any actual passing offenses, you know what I mean? Like, can we say yet that they have a good pass defense? Like, have they played any good passing teams yet?
And that's a good point. That's why it's too early to say, right? It is too early to say. So let's see. They played Tennessee, Carolina, the Cowboys, and Bears.
Yeah, they haven't played a good pass offense yet. Like Cooper Rush and Ryan Tannehill, the best QBs they faced so far.
Good point. Yeah, I mean, it's close, but I kind of still, I would give the edge to the guy that I think has more ability, and that's Cooper. So
yeah, I know. It's closer than it should be.
Yeah. All right, Stanley. We're looking for. Okay, let's go. Mike Evans, London, CD Higgins, Gabe Davis, or Curtis Samuel. Are we looking for one of those guys, two of those guys, or order? Or I'm trying to figure that out. Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Breece Hall, Goddard, or Pitts.
I think Evans and CD are musts. Evans, CD, and Higgins are must starts. Like every single week, you have to have them in your lineup. I'm going to actually say, I don't know how many running backs you need. I'm going to assume 2 because that's how most leagues do it. I'm going to say Cook and Breece this week, and I'm going to sit Najee against the Bills. I think you have good options. Cook against how come I can't – the terrible defense, and I can't think – he's my boom pick. He's one of my boom picks this week. I can't even remember who it is. Who are they playing again? I can't remember for some reason.
Who?
And I just did the running back video.
Wait, who are you talking about? Dalvin?
Oh, Bears. The Bears. That's right, the Bears.
Yeah.
Cook against the Bears. Got to start him. Breece Hall, the guy there in New York. I think you can sit Najee, sadly. And then I go Goddard over Pitts.
Don't let it be said that Chris is too proud to change his mind. He's sitting Najee. He just traded Najee. All right. So look, he's a reasonable man, if nothing else. Look, okay, you got to start Higgins and you got to start Evans. Number 3 there, kind of pretty much I'm going to start is CD Lamb. So that's easy. And I agree. Honestly, you have to start Cook this week, and I would bench Harris over Hall because it's just a terrible matchup. Let's see it happen, right? Let's see Najee get it going. And then, if you have Goddard, you can bench Pitts. I'm not benching Pitts universally, but if you have Goddard, you start Goddard.
Yeah, great.
All right, and then Kevin wants to know who'd rather rest the season. That's interesting. This is also, we're not quite there yet, guys. I know a lot of people ask rest of the season rankings, rest of the season, whatever value. We'll put out rest of season rankings pretty soon, but not yet. I think it's too early for that. All right, so we got Goff, we got Trevor Lawrence, we got Stafford.
Who thought we'd be asking who's better rest of the season, Goff, Trevor Lawrence, or Stafford? Like this would before the season we would have laughed at this question, right? Like, come on, are you kidding me? Here we are. I think I'm gonna lean slightly Trevor Lawrence. As crazy as that sounds, Goff is close because Goff has an incredibly easy schedule. Like I think it gets a little tough here in the middle, and then it gets like insanely easy to finish. But I like Trevor Lawrence more than I like Jared Goff as a quarterback. Trevor has weapons. I think I gotta go. I mean, man, I don't know if it's the elbow or what with Stafford or the offensive line or everything, but I'm gonna go Trevor. I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence.
I don't think it's a physical issue with Stafford. It's
No.
he's gotten so used to just locking in on Cooper Cup, and then I saw this. It's becoming me now. It's actually the truth. Like Matthew Stafford's progression reads: number 1, Cooper Cup; number 2, Cup; number 3, Cup; number 4, Cup; number 5, number 8, throw it away; number 9, interception; number 10, take a sack. That's it.
Yeah.
Once in a while, Tyler Higbee. That offensive line is definitely, obviously worse, which is why they can't run the ball or pass the ball very well. Allen Robinson apparently is dust, and Stafford just doesn't seem interested in throwing it to anybody else. So I'm going to go Goff, because also what helps is the fact that their defense is so bad that they're going to have to get into shootouts like they did last week a lot, and he's got a better schedule. So I go Goff. The reason I don't go Trevor Lawrence is because they have James Robinson. They like to run the ball, right? Doug Peterson, he wants to run the ball typically near the goal line, and Lawrence is not running. If he was doing that, if he added that element, I would go Lawrence, but I feel like his touchdown upside is kind of a little bit capped here. So, and then Ayuk, Pickens, or Wilson.
I'm assuming Garrett Wilson, right?
It's got to be Garrett Wilson.
This feels closer than it should be too. I know Pickens has all that upside, but man, I'm not trusting Kenny Pickett. And if Kenny Pickett doesn't work out, are we going to see Mitch Trubisky again, or are we going to see Mason Rudolph? Like, it's not going to get any better, right? Like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. If it doesn't work out with Pickett, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just darkness. I wish I could say Ayuk, but look, with Jimmy G, like, what, three targets again last night? Like, I think I'm going to go Wilson. I don't really like any of these guys the rest of the season, to be honest, but I'm going to go Wilson.
I'm going to lean Ayuk because he has that big playability. He has that, at least he's getting touchdowns. With Pickens, that's what I worry about, right? He can get those deep plays also, but he's competing for targets with so many other guys. You know what I mean? And he's more exciting, but I think in the end of the day, Ayuk will probably be slightly more productive. Garrett Wilson, I think we might see fade a little bit now that Joe Flacco's not in there. Breece Hall is going to emerge. Elijah Moore will, I think, emerge. Yeah,
maybe.
So, it's close. It's really close between all these guys, but I like Ayuk. All right. Grade A Screw Up. Always with us. Jamal Williams, Kamara, Olave, or Devontae Smith. You got some good choices there.
This is really close for me. It's between the two wide receivers. I'm going to say if Jameis Winston plays, it's Olave. Otherwise, it's Smith for me.
There's some temptation to just say Jamal Williams based on what he's done, right? Assuming that Swift play. But Olave, man, it's so hard to say no to Olave. And if Jameis Winston plays, like you said, that's a great matchup. So I'm going to agree. If Winston plays, it's definitely Olave. I mean, it's tough to sit Devontae Smith also.
Against the Cardinals. Yeah, and my worry with Jamal is he was great last week, but that was the Seahawks, who are atrocious on defense.
Right.
Much tougher defense this week. And he it's not like he played. I mean, I know he got like the bulk of the work, but he only played half the snaps last week. He's still not like an every down, even without Swift, he's not like an every down, guy. So I worry that game is it's definitely not going to be like a 90-point game like last week. It's going to be a slower game, a lower scoring game. I just think Olave and Smith are in such amazing spots this week to just blow up. So I go Olave if Winston plays. Otherwise, I go Smith.
Look, even without Winston last week, Olave still did some damage. So I may just say, just go with Olave and you're good. Eric Crump, should you trade Joe Mixon for CMC?
This is...
I mean, look, on the one hand, we have to say CMC has the higher ceiling. At least he should.
I don't know if
Joe Mixon is kind of the safer pick here. So
the thing is, Joe Mixon, like, okay, I get it. Joe Mixon hasn't done a lot of fantasy. This is why if you watch my buy low running back video, I didn't say Joe Mixon is the number one buy low running back. I said he's the number one buy low in all of fantasy football, because the usage Joe Mixon has been getting, Like, he should be the number one scorer in all of fantasy right now. He should be. He has way more goal line carries than any other running back. He's getting almost every running back touch. He's getting a huge target share. He's getting receptions. Like, he should have probably 100 fantasy points right now. You know what I mean? He should be the only guy with 100 fantasy points right now. But it hasn't happened yet. It's going to. Like, one of two things, like I said, one or two things are going to happen. Either it's going to happen or he's going to get hurt. Like, that's really the only way I see this going. So CMC could get hurt too. Ah, man. I feel like I have to say CMC, but like my head is telling me it should be Joe Mixon. Like the numbers say it should be Joe Mixon, but my heart is saying like it, but CMC. So this is really close. This is really close.
Well, one thing I would say about Mixon, I did see today. I'm trying to remember the stat exactly, but basically something about like it. As far as opportunity, right, and like expected points, like Mixon should be like the number one running back. But that the reason he's not isn't the offensive line. It's actually him. Like his yards before contact versus yards after contact and amount of time. Like there's a huge discrepancy. Basically, it's not the offensive line's fault, right? They're blocking for him. He's just not doing it. He's not breaking tackles. He's not making guys miss. He's not, getting those plus yardage like the good running backs do. So that could change. I mean, Joe Mixon's a good running back. There's nothing wrong with him. But I still feel like I'd go CMC. I mean, the only way I don't maybe is if maybe you're 3-1 or undefeated and you just need to play it safe. You don't need to make this deal. Just keep mixing, right? But I still feel like CMC could and should get better. So
yeah, that is one worry with Mixon is he's over that 1,200 touch mark. And guys, if you were in our Patreon, you would have learned about this. We talked about it a lot in the offseason, how that 1,200 touch mark, and we've seen guys so far, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara. Melvin Gordon has been terrible this year. He's going to get opportunity, but he's been terrible this year. Like Zeke. These are the guys over 1,200. The only one who's been so far okay is Henry, and he was really terrible the first 2 weeks, and he's been pretty good the last two. So maybe there is something to this. Like maybe Mixon just is kind of dust because he's got so many touches on him. I mean, it happens. Like running backs hit that cliff fast, right? Running backs don't ease off. It's like so. Maybe. So yeah, it's probably CMC, but it feels closer than it should be.
And we did see this specifically with Mixon last year when he had those huge volume games. We had like 25 plus touches. The next week, he just tanked. He busted, right? And so it's like he got worn down and then he busted. I think there was like 2-3 games where he was bad, terrible in a row because he had just come off of 2-3 games of huge usage. And then he bounced back, right? He was very up and down, and he does seem to be a guy that gets worn down. And we were both shocked, right, in the first 2 weeks of this season, how much they were using him, especially in the passing game. So it could be that. It could just be he's just getting overused early in the year. And they're not doing what they said they were going to do, which was ease him into things. So I don't know if that's going to change, but that's definitely a concern, is maybe he is just getting broken down at this point. All right, I got to throw this out. Not a super chat, but this is right after it. Would you trade CMC for Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, my gosh. You guys are really putting us to the test here. Like, the thing about CMC is when you watch CMC, he still looks very, very good, very explosive. Like, he looks great. But he's stuck with Baker Mayfield, and this offense, no joke, the worst offense in the NFL. Worse than the Bears. They have been inside the 10-yard line the least of any team in the NFL, including the Bears. They're worse than the Bears offensively. Like, they don't even get chances to score. It's terrible. It's awful, like this offense. But he's still CMC. And the Colts offense doesn't. I think I go McCaffrey here. At least you have that PPR floor.
That's true. I mean, with Taylor, the injury is not even a consideration because it's maybe one game, and then CMC, the injury risk, I've got to admit, is probably higher. So I guess, I don't know. I was going to say Taylor. I don't want to confuse everybody, but I think I might stick with Taylor in this case because I feel better about Taylor than Mixon.
It's another close one.
Back to waivers. Higher priority, Pickens or White?
Rashad White? Is that
assuming Rashad White? It's got to be the running back.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody's going crazy for Pickens, and look, maybe Pickett will be awesome, and maybe he'll just target Pickens, and we'll look back and say, man, should have grabbed Pickens. But again, it's there's gonna look, we've already had Garrett Wilson on, as a hot waiver wire pickup. I mean, we've had it seems like there's always wide receivers that pop up on the waiver wires. Like Greg Dortch, you could have been playing Greg Dortch for a while. Matt Collins, Josh Reynolds, right? Like it doesn't seem like it's that hard to find. Like you can just throw these wide receivers out there if you need them in a pinch. Having a running back potentially being the starting running back for Tampa Bay, you're not finding that on waiver wires, unless Rachaad White is still on the waiver when it happened. You know what I mean? Like that, that's very hard to find on the wire. So I still go Rachaad White.
I go Rachaad White, not just because he is a running back, but here's the thing. These, I think, will be very different picks going forward. Again, assuming Leonard Fournette stays healthy and Rachaad White doesn't become like a league winner. All right, so look, Pickens is going to have a few games where he has a boom, right? He gets 70-plus yards and a touchdown. And then he'll have some weeks where he does nothing or very little. Rachaad White will probably every game, for the most part, have somewhere between like 12 and 20 points, right? He'll catch a few passes. He'll get 50 to 80 yards. He might score a touchdown, right? Because he's going to be like the next James White, basically. So, what are you looking for? You know what I mean? You want the guy who could give you that boom, help at receiver, or you want a guy who could be kind of a plug and play RB2/flex at running back. So that's the way I see it. But I'd still rather have White. Scott McCaffrey, drop James Conner for which of the following? Damian
Pierce.
Wait a minute.
Damian Pierce. Drop him for Damian Pierce.
So Damian Pierce is just on the waiver wire?
If he's just on waiver wire, drop James Conner for Damian Pierce, 100%. And if you wanna back him up, probably Miles Sanders next. Like in case somebody else grabs Damian Pierce, Miles Sanders next, and then Kareem. I'd probably have him in the exact order you have them. If I was putting my waiver.
Maybe it's like a 14 league or something. I don't know how all of those running backs are on the waiver wire, but yeah, Damian Pierce for sure.
Definitely get Damian Pierce.
Tyler once again. All right, so if Taylor doesn't play, start two. Got Damian Harris, Jeff Wilson, Khalil Herbert, or Jamal Williams.
I think you got to start Damian Harris against the Lions. Just too good of a matchup. And then if Montgomery is out, I go Herbert because he has a great matchup this week, and we know he's still going to get the bulk of the touches. I know Jamal is interesting, but again, I'm worried about that matchup, and I'm worried about that game just being really low scoring and slow. And Jeff Wilson, yeah, he's fine, but he doesn't have the best matchup. So I think I go Harris and Herbert if Montgomery is out. Otherwise, I go Harris and Jamal.
I'm going to make it easy and agree. Damian Harris, definitely want to start him. And then, if Montgomery's completely out, Herbert does have the better matchup. And if not, you're perfectly fine with Jamal Williams. I think it's pretty comparable between those two guys. But based on the defense, I would give Herbert the slight edge. But as always, check those injury reports. All right, Scat Daddy. Kid you not. All right, here's a serious one. I just traded Brian Robinson, A-Rob, and the Broncos defense for Dalvin Cook and Devontae Smith to a Commanders fan. Wow. I don't know. A-Rob is probably not even as valuable as the Broncos defense at this point. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, actually, hold on one second. I got to go check on something. My dogs are barking and crying like something's wrong. So okay. 1 second. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
All right. I can only imagine that they're reacting to this trade. Chris is a Commanders fan. Okay, so look, Dalvin Cook, I'm pretty sure that Chris just had him as a buy low. He's a guy that you can go out and get. I know he didn't come off a huge game in London, but he'd still look pretty good. He's still in command of the backfield. Yeah, the re-injury risk is high, so you got to worry about that. But look, that's just running backs. Look, Brian Robinson could be good, but are we just going to assume he's going to be Dalvin Cook good? No, I think that you just pulled off a heist there. That's a good move. Guys, know your league. A Commanders fan is all over Brian Robinson. You know what? Let him have it and take his, number one running back and number two receiver and laugh. That's how you play the game. All right, let's get to Miguel Cordovez. Okay. And his question was back here.
Sorry.
Everything good?
I wasn't sure if maybe the kitchen was on fire or something because he was crying like something was wrong, but
I think they were just laughing at the trade, probably.
No, I was like, is the kitchen on fire or something? Like, why is my dog downstairs crying right now for no reason? And
See,
he's just crying
for me,
for no
if I heard
reason.
the dog's going insane, that's just like normal. That's just, like a squirrel's walking by or something. All right, so Miguel saying trade Chase and Hunt for Aaron Jones and Judy, and this is non-PPR.
I don't do that. I think, Jones better than Hunt, but Chase way better than Judy to me, especially in non-PPR. So I'm going to keep Chase and Hunt.
Yeah, look, this is not the time to trade Chase. I know you're a little disappointed, but it's not like he's been just terrible. I mean, he's going to be fine. So look, his other receivers, Diggs, Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis. I mean, I don't know who you don't want to trade Diggs, that's for sure.
No, I mean, and if you lose Chase, your wide receiver group is not very good now. I mean, you got Diggs, but then after that, it's just a bunch of like guys that are good but not great. I think you need, and you got Pierce, Stevenson. Like, I think Pierce and Stevenson are good enough at running back.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, Pierce is right there with Aaron Jones, just as productive. So, yeah, no, just don't do that deal. I don't think you're really gaining anything from doing that, especially you don't want to trade. You don't want to trade away Chase right now. All right, so Ronnie Santana, Jeff Wilson, or Najee. I'm okay. We're not that down on Najee. I feel like this is a test. I don't know. I feel like this is just a test.
I mean, they're both going to get like what, 18 carries, probably not a catch. Maybe Pickett will dump it off a bunch, but I mean, only one target to any running back last week, and it wasn't Najee, unfortunately. It was Jalen Warren. Like, only one target, and that's the whole game. That wasn't just Pickett. That was Pickett and Trubisky. Like, that's the worrisome thing here for Najee. He's not catching passes, but still, I gotta trust Najee. They're basically the same guy, right now. I'm gonna trust that Najee
Harris and Jeff Wilson Jr. the same guy.
Wow. I mean, as far as
Mike Chris that I know.
As far as their usage goes, I mean, like, they're just guys that are getting a ton of carries, and that's really it, right? They're not getting a ton of receptions. So, but I still got to go Najee.
I'm going Najee. I mean, look, I get Jeff Wilson actually did better than Najee last week because he scored, but no. Okay, Devin threw down the super chat, and his question here is Jacobs, Jalen, I guess that's Waddle, and Higgins for Devontae and Pierce. I would rather have the Devontae. I think I would rather have the Devontae. Now I think about it, I don't know. But you're going to get up two stud wide receivers.
That's the thing. And look, I mean, obviously Jacobs coming off a huge game. Can't expect that every week, but his usage has only gone up and up, and he's the only running back really touching the ball anymore. So I don't know if like Pierce, like definitely I prefer Pierce over Jacobs, but I don't know if I prefer Pierce like way over Jacobs. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I like Devontae, but I don't know if I like Devontae way more than Higgins. Like, I like him more than Higgins probably, but not way more. And then you get Jalen Waddle. Like, no, I'm taking that side. I'm taking the Jacobs, Jalen, Higgins side.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's kind of an overpay. Look, if you can get a third piece back, I don't mind upgrading, Pierce over Jacobs, but it's not a massive upgrade. But I would rather have Pierce. And of course, you want Devontae. But again, you're going to have two stud receivers. So if you can get a third piece back, maybe another receiver that's startable, then maybe you could do that. But right now, it's a little too much.
Yeah.
All right, Brooks. Swift and Pittman for Chase in London.
I can't do it. I still believe in Pittman. I don't understand. Like, this is why we have buy low and sell high videos every single week, because one guy has a bad game and suddenly nobody wants him. Like Pittman has one bad game and he's like nobody wants this guy anymore. Like, nobody wants him now. Like, did we forget he had 27 points in week 1 with only 1 touchdown, and he had 14 points in week 2 with 0 touchdowns? Like, I'm pretty sure he had more points than Chase in week 1 and more points than Chase. Well, I guess it was week 3 because he missed week 2. Like both those games that he's played, other than last week, he had more points than Chase, and I think he had half as many points as Chase last week. So it's not like Chase has been crushing him. And I still believe that Swift is going to be awesome after the bye. London is fine, but I'd much prefer Pittman. I'm taking the Swift and Pittman side.
Yeah, and again, he says you're not high in the Colts offense. I mean, yeah, of course, nobody is right now because they've been terrible. But this is really an offense that everyone's disappointed in. Again, it's always relative to expectations. They should be better. They still have one of the better, maybe not the best offensive line in the league like they used to, but it's still a really good O-line. They got a veteran quarterback. When Jonathan Taylor's healthy, they should have arguably the best running back in the league. And Pittman is a stud. He'll get better. He'll be fine, right? And then this is not the time to sell DeAndre Swift. Like, I get that you're worried about him, but a couple of weeks from now, you might wish you had him still. So I wouldn't do this either.
Remember when Jefferson had like 2 duds in a row? And everybody was like, why did we take Jefferson so early? What were we thinking? Like, guys, you can't. It's football. It happens. Like, don't overreact to one game.
Believe it or not, it's still early.
Yeah.
All right, so where to upgrade this roster? You got Lamar, no upgrade there. Mixon, Chubb, sounds pretty good. Tyreek, Mike Williams, Everett, Thielen. Okay, so if you're flexing Thielen, yeah, and your depth is a little sketchy.
Yeah, well, I mean, wide receiver needs to upgrade here for sure.
But then I think the question then would be, how do you upgrade your roster? I mean,
maybe try to package Penny and Thielen's kind of getting some steam right now. He's had a couple nice games in a row, right? And he's a guy people liked before the season, and they're starting to feel like, okay, he just had a slow start, and now it's starting to come together for him. Penny just came off a huge game. Maybe package Penny, Thielen, go to the whoever has Javonte, and see what wide receiver they have, and maybe you can package Penny and Thielen. They need a running back right now. They feel like Thielen's a good enough replacement for whatever receiver they're getting you, and see if you can get an upgrade at wide receiver. That's what I would do.
Agreed. This is the time that you can sell high on Penny. Also, I would say follow-up is play the waiver wire, get some upside flyer. You can just straight up drop Dortch right now.
Yeah.
You can drop Landry and just take shots on guys who maybe are doing nothing. Like, look, hypothetically, if a guy like Kenneth Walker is just out there on the waiver wire, you might as well stash him, right? Because you drop Penny or you trade Penny, maybe. What if Penny gets hurt? All of a sudden, you're laughing because you got the Seahawks #1 running back. Just take a flyer on a guy because those guys really aren't doing anything for you. Like, they're really not even startable like in bye weeks. So
no.
All right, grade A screw up once again. My starting receivers are Waddle and Godwin. If Keenan Allen is back, who should I bench? Not Godwin. And this week, I wouldn't. I mean, even with Teddy B, would you bench Waddle against the Jets?
Probably not. But it's hard for me to bench Keenan Allen too, unless of course we got the whole Keenan Allen like doesn't practice Wednesday, doesn't practice Thursday, limited Friday. Then I'm like, okay, I don't want to chance Keenan Allen, limping off the field after 2 series or something. I like all these guys this week. It's hard to bench any of these guys. Man. I mean, I guess you could bench Keenan Allen and take like a wait and see approach with him since you have Waddle and Godwin. I guess that's what I would do. Yeah, I like all these guys. So, but I guess you can bench Keenan since he's coming back from injury. You can at least take a wait and see approach.
That's what I would do. I mean, no need to rush it. If you have a guy like Waddle, it's not like you're taking a hit there. I think Waddle's going to be fine. Godwin, I'm definitely not benching. Like, he's a must start for me. So I would just keep it as is. Wait a week on Keenan. It's not like it's a smash spot or anything. So I think you can wait. AJ Fisk, Dubs Lazard this week and rest of the season. Interesting question.
That's probably going to be the question every single week, right? It's probably going to be some weeks it'll probably be Lazard, and some weeks it'll probably be Dobbs, and some weeks it might, like last week, it might be both, right? There might be games where it's both. I mean, Dobbs always has the higher ceiling, I guess, right? Well, maybe not, because it's not like he's a super vertical guy either. Like, I don't know. It's like, I probably still trust Lazard a little bit more because he is getting the higher target share. So, and he still gets red zone looks and end zone looks. So I'm going to go slightly Lazard, very slightly.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling. It's slightly Lazard. I still feel a little better about his target share. And we know in the red zone, he's pretty much the number one option there. Like Dobbs is a little bit more reliant on that deep ball, right? The vertical routes. He might have more big plays in him, but Lazard, he's always got touchdowns in him. So yeah, it's kind of the same. Like this week wouldn't be really different than the rest of the season for me. So it's slightly Lazard. Would you drop Josh Reynolds for Gallup? Yes.
I would definitely, especially. I mean, even if Amon-Ra and Chark are out again this week, they will be back at some point, and Gallup has way more value, season long. So definitely drop Reynolds for Gallup.
Yeah, even if you say, well, Detroit Lions offense has been better than Cowboys offense. This is true. Even if you think that Detroit Lions offense will be just as good or better when Dak returns, maybe that's true. But Josh Reynolds will still be the number 3 guy. And, I mean, if you include DJ Hawkinson, really he's kind of the number 4 option for the most part. Gallup is number 2, maybe number 3 if Schultz comes along, whatever. So, I still like Gallup. Definitely better. Jimbo, JT and Sutton for Mixon and Diggs.
I'm doing this. I'm doing it. I love Sutton, but I got Diggs over Sutton. And yes, I think JT will rebound and JT will be great. But like I said, Mixon's usage it's off the charts. It's off the charts. And it doesn't matter. Like we saw with Najee last year. When you're getting that kind of usage, you don't have to be efficient. You know what I mean? You don't, because you're getting so many opportunities and so it's almost going to be impossible for Mixon, if he continues to get this kind of usage, to not go over 300 PPR points. Like almost impossible. In fact, I don't think a running back's ever done it that I looked at over the last 6 or 7 years that's had this kind of usage. So I'll take the wide receiver upgrade for maybe a slight running back downgrade. To me, I'm taking that.
Yeah, I feel like this is pretty close, but again, with the fact, the way JT and that offense has been going, I feel like it makes it closer between JT and Mixon. And yeah, having Diggs, having that stud receiver, that's pretty much what you want, right? So yeah, I think you can do that. Devin Wright wants to know, Devontae and Pierce.
We did this one.
Is this the same one we had? Is this
it's just switch?
Like reverse.
It's switch. We wanted the Higgins Waddle.
You want to say we're paying attention. That's what it is. This is like one of those psychological tests.
It's like a test. Like I'm going to do the same question and flip it and see if they even notice.
Yeah,
we wanted the Jacobs Waddle Higgins side. Yes.
I don't have a bang with me right now. I did have a little coffee. I know it's late, but I'm not that tired. I noticed this. Okay. Miguel, once again, Chase and Hunt.
I think we did this one too, didn't we?
I feel like this is the same question we did too.
And we did Chase and Hunt.
Is there a glitch in the Matrix? Or
what's going on here? I got my dogs crying for no reason. People asking like the same questions.
Yeah.
What's going on right now?
If a black cat jumps off the screen,
we wanted Chase and Hunt, right? We said Chase and Hunt.
Yeah, the Chase Hunt side, I would. Yeah, no, yeah. All right. Roylan wants to know PPR: Najee, Hunt, Penny, Edmonds. I'm guessing that's Rachaad White. Should I think about moving somewhere or wait it out? Well, we've already talked about this. This is a time that you can sell high on Penny, right?
Yeah.
You can't trade Edmonds. I mean, yeah, move him, but who's going to want him?
Move him to the waiver wire if there's somebody to grab. You can't trade Najee right now because, like, I had somebody on Twitter ask me, like, hey, what should I be trying to get for Najee? I'm like, good luck. And he comes back like an hour or two later. He's like, yeah, everybody's just offering me crumbs. I'm like, yeah, of course. You're not going to get anything for Najee right now.
Right.
You can't get anything for Hunt right now because Chubb's the one scoring touchdowns, not Hunt. So everybody's, all over Chubb, and Hunt hasn't really done anything. Penny's the one you got to try to move right now. Just coming off that huge game. Now's the time to try to move Penny.
Yeah, he's the only one. Think about it this way. You're the one who drafted Najee, and you don't want him. How do you think the other people in your league feel about him?
Yeah.
They're probably not too crazy about him right now either, right? So if you don't want him, chances are they don't either. But no, just hold on to him. All right, Dobbins and Thomas for Debo.
Yes.
I do that.
I'm assuming that's Michael Thomas. Not, well, I don't know what other Thomas it would be, so I don't even know. I can't think of one. Yes, I do that though. Debo, a stud wide receiver. Like Dobbins will be fine and Thomas will be fine, but Debo's a stud. Get Debo.
Yeah. You get that stud receiver just talked about. It's not an overpay because Michael Thomas, as we see, already heard.
Yeah.
Maybe he's fine the rest of the season. Who knows? But he's not going to be Debo guaranteed. And Dobbins, I think it's pretty safe to say neither of us feel like he's going to be a league winner.
No, definitely not.
He'll score some touchdowns. Yeah, sure he will, but he's not going to win the league single-handedly. He'll be fine. Joe just wants to say that he's finally done with Akers. Look, I'm holding on to the night, holding on to the memories. I'm still holding on my rosters.
It's crazy. The only 2 Rams players you can start right now are Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. That's it. Those are the only 2 guys you can feel good about in the entire offense. Like, what is happening here?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not his fault though. I blame Sean McVay.
Okay.
No, actually, I don't blame Sean McVay.
You can't blame
I blame Matthew Stafford.
It's just that the offensive line is decimated.
Yes. Would you drop Knox? Yeah. I mean, what did Knox do for you?
Njoku to me in every week start at tight end. He's not like an elite, but he's a guy you should just be able to set and forget because he's getting the target share. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And, Knox is a guy we, kind of felt might be overvalued heading into this year because most of his value last year came on touchdown. Yeah, again, he's in Buffalo, but the tight end is not a primary target there. And this is a different philosophy here. New offensive coordinator throwing to the running backs more so than the tight ends. Long story short, you can drop Knox. All right. Connor for Breece Hall.
If you're getting Breece Hall, take it and run fast. Absolutely do that.
Every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Do that. All right. Arnolfo wants to know what in the world
be the question
with Najee Harris. Praying would not hurt.
Yeah. You do have some good running backs with Chubb and Robinson. The problem is you're selling Najee low. That's the problem. Like, you're not going to – like, what are you going to get? Jamar Chase? Probably not. Like, are you going to get – I don't know. Anybody good? Really? Like, any stud player? Probably not, because everybody has seen the same thing with Najee. I think you just have to hold. Now, that I will say the one good thing for Najee, like if your record's okay, if you're like 2-2, let's say, and you're okay, or even if you're 1-4 and you're still in it, or even if you're 0-4, really, you're not completely out of it. With Chubb and James Robinson, you should be okay at running back. Like, I think if you want to like avoid Najee this week against the Bills, I get it because you have those 2 guys. Then he has another tough matchup next week. I know it's a tough matchup. But then his schedule gets really easy, and especially like from weeks like 12 on. He only has like 1 bad matchup of all of them. So if you can get through this like kind of like trouble spot here, and assuming Pickett isn't completely awful, better days could still be ahead for Najee. Definitely.
I sure hope so, because I just traded for him with you. But here's the thing. At least you have 2 guys that you can start pretty much every week and not worry too much about. You got Chubb and Robinson. And look, Brian Robinson, who knows? Maybe he's a guy you can throw in there too. So just hold. Don't sell low because you're really not helping yourself out unless somebody really is willing to give you, high-end wide receiver 2 or better, which I doubt. Chris, sorry to do this. We have to interrupt for some breaking news. Bus always has to make a cameo, but baseball news. That's right. Baseball fantasy endgame. It's not just the fantasy football endgame anymore. Aaron Judge has hit 62 home runs. Instant reaction from our biggest baseball fan.
I feel like he was posting all day about his at-bats. Did they have like a double header today? How many at-bats did they keep letting him go up to the plate until he hit 62 home runs? Like, what happened today?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they're just going to keep putting games on the schedule until he gets the record.
Okay, well, there he goes. He got it. He got a 62. Congrats to Aaron Judge.
And we'll just tune in tomorrow, guys. We're going to have a 5-hour-long live stream debate about who should be MVP, Ohtani or Judge.
That's not happening.
Oh.
No time for that.
Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. By the way, guys, we're about 1 hour in. We're going to keep going until we answer as many questions as possible. That's all I can tell you. Try to do waiver wire questions first. That's why we're here. But also a lot of trade questions. This is the time to trade. So let's keep it going. Coop wants to know White or Mostert for waivers. Let's do that first.
I'm gonna say White again. Yeah, Mostert. Sure, he's getting the touches, but he's not doing anything with the touches, and he's not like. What happens when they get near the goal line? They're handing it off to Edmonds. They're throwing it to Edmonds. Like, it's not Mostert near the goal line, so he's not getting those valuable, touchdown opportunities. And again, White just has so much potential upside, like that Mostert will never have. So I got to go with White.
That's the thing, is the best case scenario for Mostert, even if Edmonds is just completely out of the picture, right? Like, let's say, God forbid, tears his Achilles or something. Is Mostert getting 20 carries a game? No way. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And is he catching 5 passes a game? Not happening. Is he scoring 10 touchdowns this year? It's not happening. I can see White catching 5 passes a game because he just did it. He just did it in his first game where he actually even got any run. He got 5 passes and he scored a touchdown. If Fournette goes down, you have a legit top 10 running back, possibly. You always go with the upside. Mostert is fine to flex, but White easily. Is Goff showing his fancy value? Look, he's not playing Seattle every week, but Goff over Stafford, we both said yes, right?
Yep. I have in our in the cut dynasty league, I've had Goff just sitting on my bench for 4 weeks, and I'm done with it. I'm playing Goff over Stafford from now on. I don't care. It's like Stafford couldn't even get me one touchdown. Like, I'm done. I'm playing Goff over him, definitely.
Maybe if the Rams had Goff instead of Stafford, they could be contenders this year. Think about that. Trying to sell high on Hollywood before. Okay, we answered this also. Somebody way back in the early part of the show. Hollywood, you don't have to trade Hollywood because Hopkins is coming back. He's still going to get targeted.
And yeah, if you can get an upgrade for Hollywood, whether it's at running back or wide receiver, like if you can get, or maybe you can get like Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce plus a decent wide receiver, something like that, where it's like a huge upgrade for your team, then sure, trade them. But don't trade them because you're worried about Hopkins coming back. Don't do that.
Right. Yeah. Not saying Hollywood's untradeable, right? Not like he's an absolute untouchable, but don't trade just because you're worried all of a sudden he's not going to be useful. Maybe he gets a few less targets here and there, but you don't have to trade him. So I wouldn't. And then Connor Park wants to know, trade Breece Hall and Jerry Jeudy for Mark Andrews.
Look, I get it. You're getting, an awesome tight end, and it's such an advantage. But this is too much for Andrews. Too much for Andrews, in my opinion. I mean, even if Jerry Jeudy is on your bench, maybe you're in like a shallow 10-team league and Jerry Jeudy's on your bench, Breece Hall has legit league-winning upside at the running back position. And yeah, Mark Andrews will probably be great, but I can't give up a running back like Breece Hall, and especially with a wide receiver like Jeudy. I feel like that's too much. I can't do it.
I mean, the only way I would do this is if you're like in an 18 league and maybe Breece Hall is like your 3rd, 4th running back and you're just really not using him, and you don't have an elite tight end, and maybe that makes the difference, right? From your team being over the top. But no, I wouldn't do this. Guys, I know maybe not all of you. We gained a lot of subs, a lot of viewers since the season started. If you're with us since the off season, draft season, we do mock drafts basically twice a week, all off season. And the guy probably talked up the most was Breece Hall. He being so undervalued, just because everyone said, "Oh, it's such a weak running back class." You're right, it is depth wise, but the best guy is still going to shine. That's Breece Hall. All right, Let's keep going here. We're going to try to catch up. So Xavier is in a 12-team league. He's 3-1. Congrats. There's Goff and Dak. You're pretty good. CEH, Sanders, Swift, Jamal Williams, Wilson, Herbert, Akers, Algier. It's a deep league. Diggs, Waddle, London, Ayuk, Jameson Williams on the stash, and then got Schultz. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously, again, I the thing that stands out to me here is you definitely need a tight end. Maybe when Dak gets back, Schultz will be fine again. But for right now, you need a tight end because what does Schultz have? 1 target in 2 games with Cooper Rush so far? Like, eesh. So definitely like see who's on the waiver. I wouldn't trade for a tight end unless you can get, of course, like Andrews or Kelsey. Like I liked it. Like CEH looks like, he could be a breakout this year. Maybe Sanders might be a breakout this year. Swift, I still believe in Swift. And you have Jamal, so you're okay there, even if Swift, needs more time to recover. You got Jamal, so you're okay there. You're definitely good at running back. But I don't really know what you could do. I mean, maybe now's the time to try to trade Miles Sanders and get a wide receiver upgrade. Coming off that big game, integrate offense. What do you think?
Yeah, the thing is, look, Jameson Williams, and I actually kind of seen, there's a little bit of chatter. I don't know. We have apparently a Jameson Williams stand somewhere in there. But anyways, Williams, he's not going to do anything until I think November. I mean, fine if you can stash him on IR, but that means you got 4 receivers. Once the bye weeks hit, if an injury comes, you're going to be hurting. So I would say you might want to boost your depth at receiver here. And I agree. Look, maybe try to package an Algier with somebody to try to upgrade at receiver. Maybe try to get some depth there. Schultz, as far as Schultz goes, you probably should have had somebody else to start last week, plus for this week, just because he's not 100% and Cooper Rush isn't throwing him. Long term, I think he's fine. I don't feel like you need to make a move. Like, don't trade, London to get a tight end or something like that. I think Schultz will be fine, but you definitely want somebody in the short term. But I would try to trade maybe 1 or 2 of those running backs, maybe Sanders and Algier, to get a solid receiver.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or I was even thinking maybe like you could package Sanders in London and go get like a stud.
Well, yeah, if you can get a really, really good, receiver, maybe a Pittman. Maybe someone's willing to sell Pittman.
I mean, you could probably trade Sanders and get Pittman right now because people are so low on Pittman. So you probably don't even need to give him London.
Yeah. All right. Piano Man. Would you trade Higgins and James Robinson for JT? And this is a 10-team league.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
That's tough.
This is tough. Not the James Robinson part, because I feel like James Robinson is just going to be okay. Like, he's not a guy that's going to catch a ton of passes.
Right.
He's not going to be like a league breaker type of guy. But Higgins, I think, is going to just be. I mean, I was high on Higgins before the draft, and I've seen nothing to change my mind on Higgins. I think Higgins is going to be awesome this year. That's the part that I'm a little like, do I want to give up a receiver like Higgins and a decent run, like a solid running back like Robinson for the potential of JT? And I do think we have to accept that we're probably not going to get last year's JT, because even though, last year's JT was just great in every way, but he also scored 20 touchdowns. It's probably unlikely in this offense he's getting 20 touchdowns, right? Because I just don't know if they're going to give him enough. Like last year, he had so many opportunities. Like he could have really had like 25 touchdowns or 30 touchdowns last year with all the opportunities he was getting. So that's the part that makes me feel like I still think JT will be great, but I don't think we're getting like last year JT again. I just think we might get like really, really, really good JT still. Oh, man.
And
this is so tough. This is tough.
If this was a 12-team league or deeper, then I'd probably say no, the depth matters more. The fact that it's 10-team makes it more doable. But look, I'm not going to be, the last thing I want to do is be like one of these overreact or like reactionary guy, like, oh, JT's done, whatever.
No.
But there are legit warning signs. The fact that now, I think a lot of times, like you said, they had all these goal line carries for him. Like, it wasn't even close, right? He smoked everybody in terms of red zone rushes and carries and goal line opportunities. That was because they didn't trust Carson Wentz near the goal line, right? I mean, that's got to be a big part of it. And now they have him outrun. It's like, hey, we can throw it whenever we want, including at the 2-yard line. So it's kind of going the other way. And so you got to wonder if JT's touchdown rate is going to kind of go the way of Austin Eckler and just kind of plummet.
It's only because of Higgins. Like if it was a different it depends on other wide receiver, but if it was somebody like, I don't know, Devonta Smith, I know people, I don't know, just throwing on there, or maybe even like Hollywood, I'd probably do it. I just feel like Higgins is going to be great.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, I think I keep Higgins and James Robinson, but it's so close. It's so tempting. So tempting.
I mean, you're taking a very calculated risk, right? That JT is the guy that you're expected to be the number one running back. I mean, if you really think he's a guy, go for it. I think I probably don't.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Fergda up here. Fergda always with us on these live shows. And saying shout out to you guys for the start advice. Brees Hall last Saturday won me my matchup. All right. Well, thanks. We appreciate that. League mate wants me to give JT for Chubb straight up. No brainer?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. The Chubbsters are coming. They're coming out. They got their pitchforks. They're ready. Yes, I'm taking JT for Chubb all day long. I mean, I get it. Chubb's been great this year, but the guy has 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. And he's still not even like the RB1. Like, and sure, maybe he's going to be the guy that scores 20 touchdowns this year, and maybe he'll be the guy, and he'll be great. But if those touchdowns start drying up, like if he doesn't keep scoring touchdowns, and it's not like he's getting tons of goal line opportunities, right? He's not. He's got one more goal line opportunity than Najee this year. He's not getting tons of goal line opportunities. Now, I get it. Chubb's a great running back. He can score from outside the goal line. He doesn't always need to be there, but you can't depend on that week in and week out. I still got to take JT.
It's not a no-brainer. I mean, Chubb is top 3 running back this year. JT isn't, but in this case, I'll take JT. All right. Go to very interesting name. All right. So 12-man, full PPR. I got Cousins, Fournette, Dillon, Stevenson, Rashad White, Chase, Pittman, Olave, Ayuk, and then Andrews. But you're 1 and 3,
what?
Man.
Well,
Jamar Chase has let down. Fournette had a couple bad games.
Yeah.
Should be better. All right. So what can he do? Hashtag freaking out.
I don't really see a lot this team needs. I mean, maybe a better RB2, but I think you can play matchups with Dillon and Stevenson, who both have great matchups this week, by the way. I love your wide receivers, Chase, Pittman, Olave. That's great. Obviously, you have a great tight end. I think I got to think this team's just been unlucky, right? It's just been unlucky. Like if you look at week 2, Pittman didn't play. Fournette was not very good. Chase wasn't very good. And then you look at week 3, Pittman was okay. Fournette wasn't very good. Chase wasn't very good again. Then you look at week 4, Pittman wasn't good at all. Chase wasn't good. Andrews wasn't good. Like I think this team has just gotten unlucky. It just feels like this team has just gotten unlucky. Like they haven't had like a few guys all have great games at the same time. So I don't really see a lot you can do here.
Wide receivers are great. I mean, you don't need to do anything there. I mean, a lot of it depends on Fournette. That's the thing. Is he really going to be that guy, right? Who carries you?
Well,
that's a lot of it. I gotta think he'll be better. I would say just wait and see. This is not the time to try to trade Fournette, and what can you get for him? A better QB, but again, you're not getting one of those stud QBs. Yeah. No one's going to trade you Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert right now or Lamar Jackson. You're going to be massively overpaying. So probably just sit tight and just like you said, Chris, just kind of hope things get better. I don't think you need to shake up this roster too much.
Yeah, that's a great roster. So,
and I don't see any obvious sell high candidates.
No, definitely not.
All right, Sebastian, who to start? Godwin, Moore, Deontay at wide receiver 2, and then either Brees Hall or Jeff Wilson at the flex.
Godwin at wide receiver 2, Brees Hall at the flex. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, this one is pretty much as easy as it gets. Definitely Godwin. Spoiler alert, I have him as a boom this week. And Brees Hall, yeah, you already know it's coming. The breakout is definitely coming.
It's here. It's already here.
All right, Big Luscious once again wants to know, is it too soon to stash OBJ? Yeah, he's in the news, visiting the Giants, whatever. I mean, he's not playing until maybe December.
Maybe, and even then, if he goes to the Giants, like, okay,
Is
cool.
that a good thing?
It's Daniel Jones. Like, I don't care. I'm not excited. Like, that doesn't excite me. Like, if he was meeting with the Chiefs, who could really use Odell Beckham, I might get excited. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, maybe he could be like he was with the Rams last year, and because but he's going to the Giants. I'm not stashing Odell.
No. Is it too soon to stash him? Yes, it is definitely too soon. He's gonna do nothing. Look, there is a chance he does nothing, literally nothing all season for you. There's no guarantee he plays, and if he does, he plays enough to actually do something for fantasy. So, no, you got to have a ton of IR spots to stash him. All right, Tyler wants to know, is trade high Josh Jacobs, sort of?
Sort of. Yes, because he's coming off a huge game, and that's always a good time to trade guys high because people just think whatever happened last week is going to happen this week. So, but you have to be trading high. Like I said earlier, I think with Penny, like you can't be trading him, for just some decent guy. You have to be trading him for a good player, like a good wide receiver, like somebody we feel good about week in and week out. That's going to be in your lineup, no doubt about it. Because one thing about Jacobs, he's getting the volume. Now he's not going to have games like he had last week all the time. He's going to have games like he had the first couple weeks too, right? He's going to have those kind of games as well, but he's a running back getting the volume. So you don't want to just give him away. But yes, if you can move him for a better player, you do it.
Yeah. I'm not taking an L as of right now. It's only been 4 weeks, and this was his first really smash game. First 3 weeks, he pretty much underwhelmed. All right. Look, I didn't draft Josh Jacobs anywhere. I'm calling Zamir White season at some point, but look, Jacobs look good, and he's still owning the backfield. We'll see if that happens the rest of the season, right? Could you sell Jacobs high? Yeah, if you get a good return, I'm fine with that.
See, that's the other thing. Guys, I know, kind of like the mindset of fantasy football players. It's like 3 weeks does nothing. Week 4 goes off. I told you guys. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. Like whatever happened last week is going to continue to happen. That's kind of how most people think.
The past is the past, right? This is all about what have you done lately. And you can take victory laps at any point in the season. It doesn't matter.
Yes. They've done nothing for 16 weeks, but they went off in week 17. I told you guys.
That's pretty much. You pretty much nailed it. Now, guys, we do have several chats lined up. We're going to try to catch up here. We're a little behind, but we do want to not just gloss over these. We try to explain our answers. Hopefully, everyone else who's listening kind of gets some insight too. So let's keep going here. Joe Guerrero, being offered Josh Jacobs. Here's another Jacobs question. Should I trade for him? And if so, okay, well, he's got Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin, Garrett Wilson, Algier Hunt, Wilson, and Zeke. I hope those aren't all your running backs.
Yeah, you're being offered Josh Jacobs, but did they say who they wanted back? I'll tell you, I'm not giving up Hollywood or Godwin for him. That's for sure.
No.
I might do Garrett Wilson for him. I would definitely do Algier for him. I would most probably do Hunt for him. I would definitely do Jeff Wilson or Zeke for him.
I was going to say, what about Zeke? Got that name?
Oh, yeah. If somebody wants Zeke, I'll go. Come on.
And I think that's fair.
Somebody wants to give me like some, like a box of chocolate for Zeke. I'll give him Zeke. That's fine. They don't even have to give me a player in return.
Yeah, like a stick of chewing gum.
Yeah.
See if he wants Zeke. And if he wants a receiver, don't trade Hollywood or Godwin. I think Garrett Wilson, I think that's pretty fair for both sides.
Yeah.
And then Ferg, the kind of follow up to that previous one, just some context, 4-0, very nice. And his other RBs are Eckler and Breece Hall. So going back to that previous one, pull it up.
You'll have JT Eckler and Breece Hall. I feel pretty good about that. I feel very good about that.
All right, so there you go. And went with Breece Hall. That was a good move. All right, awesome. And let's keep going with Flores. Trade CEH to get Fournette and Mike Williams? Absolutely.
Yes, I definitely do that. Look, I was calling the CEH breakout, and then he broke out, and I doubted it. I still doubted it, and I was calling for everybody to trade CEH, and then he just was great against the Bucks, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's just gonna happen this year. It's just sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. It's just gonna happen. Like nothing can stand in the way of it, right? Like It just happens. But you're getting a good running back in return and a good wide receiver. Like that's how you sell high on a guy. This is how you sell high on a guy right here. Yes, do it. Well done.
That's a very good deal. Even if, which I don't even expect, but even if CEH outscores Fournette rest of the season, you got Mike Williams, a guy you can set in your lineup, forget it every single week. So that's a win for you. All right, being offered Henry for a high-end wide receiver. So he's got Chase, Evans, Waddle, and Hollywood. RBs are Hall and Hunt. Okay, so which receiver would you trade or wouldn't you trade? Interesting. Okay, well, our opinions differ a little bit on Derrick Henry, so I'm gonna let you go first.
I mean, you do need a running back. You got Breece Hall, that's great, but you got Kareem Hunt. I like Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt, he's not a guy you want to count on week in, week out, right? Like, he's definitely not. I'm not trading Chase for Henry. I'm not trading Evans for Henry. I'd probably do Waddle for Henry. I don't think I'm doing. I'm just lower on Henry. I'm still of the mindset that Henry cannot hold up to this kind of usage. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe he will. But I'm still of the mindset like this guy's 28 years old, has almost 2,000 touches, and they're just running them into the ground. And if he survives, he'll be great. If he doesn't, then, well, you have nothing. So I think Waddle. I think Waddle's the one receiver I will trade for him. But I know a lot of people would probably trade Hollywood for him.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. And here's the thing, and we're not too far off from this. I would not trade Chase for him. I wouldn't trade Chase at all right now. And I wouldn't trade Evans for him. I think you could do Waddle, but I feel better about Waddle rest of season and end of season than Hollywood. So I would try Hollywood first. And if he says, no, I went with the others, then you could trade Waddle. I still think I'm fine with that because you have 4 really good receivers and you could use that high-end running back. So I'm okay with either of them, but I would try Hollywood first. All right, Timothy Crooms. How do I upgrade my team? He's got Herbert, Eckler, Mixon, Keenan Allen. You got a lot of Chargers here. Lazard, Juju. Yeah, we need some receivers if Lazard is your number 2 guy and Juju's your number 3. Ayuk, Judy. Okay. Dylan, Mariota. Okay. Thoughts?
Look, I'm gonna say Eckler is a very, very good sell high right now. Like, are we? He scored from what? 10 yards out, 20 yards out, and like 10 yards out. Like, it's not like he started all of a sudden getting goal line carries. Like, I think Eckler is a great sell high right now. Like, go trade Eckler for Jamar Chase. I'll bet you could trade Eckler for Jamar Chase right now. I'll bet you could do that, and you could get Jamar Chase, and you get a huge upgrade at wide receiver. Although, who are your other running backs? Well, you got Dylan, you got Jamal. You got Herbert's only gonna. Maybe you kind of need Eckler though.
I mean, Dylan. No, okay. So Mixon could really be his RB1 and Dylan RB2. Sure. I think that's still fine.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I mean, I just think now's a great time. Maybe even trade Eckler for Chase and some running back on their bench to give you a little bit more depth, right? Because people are pretty low on Chase right now. They think Higgins. I see like people think Higgins is going to be the guy. He's going to score more points than Chase. Like, people are like, we have to accept that Higgins is better than Chase. Like, this is what people are thinking. Not everybody, but a lot of people are thinking this right now. So, and people are thinking, okay, Eckler's back. He's back. Okay, the first 3 weeks again. First 3 weeks, they've already forgot about that. They're only thinking about week 4. So I would try to trade like Eckler for Chase and maybe a bench running back.
Yeah, you need a better receiver there. Keenan Allen should be like your number 2 guy, not your number 1. Lazard should be at best your 3rd receiver. So definitely upgrade there. Yeah, because Mixon is fine as your top running back. You got Mixon, and number 2, you can roll with Dylan. You'd much rather have the stability of a sudden, especially you're talking about Keenan Allen, who hasn't played for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, exactly what Chris said. Try to, flip Eckler now and get that stud receiver. All right. Bucky Pirtle wants to know, should you trade Garrett Wilson for Brian Robinson Jr.? I think it's a little too soon for that, right? You can't trade for a guy that hasn't played.
I think the worry for Brian Robinson isn't like, can he come back and play again? Because I think he can. Is that he's not going to be a 3-down workhorse. Like, they still have J.D. McKissick. They're not going to just like Gibson's not just going to sit on the bench and watch football. They're still going to use him. He's not going to be some workhorse running back, right? So,
right.
I still prefer Garrett Wilson.
And let's not forget, the last 2 weeks, Washington's offense has kind of been bad. It's not like, the first 2 weeks, this offense is great. Carson Wentz. No, their offensive line has been bad. Carson Wentz is getting sacked a lot. There's no guarantee. Robinson, whether he is good or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't mean he will put up points because he's on a bad offense. He might not be able to run the ball. So, no, don't do this. Henry Odom, start two, and one flex. Okay, Pittman, you got to start him. Cook, Sutton, St. Brown. Okay, if he plays, Gabe, Davis, Fournette, Stevenson, Pierce.
All right, well, I'm gonna start with the running backs because actually that's not easy. Well, okay, Fournette and Pierce are my running backs.
Yep.
And I think you got to go. I don't really want to bench Stevenson this week, but I think I got to go Pittman, Sutton, and St. Brown as my 2 wide receivers and flex. I think that's the lineup.
Pittman is a no-brainer. You got to start Pittman. I don't care what happened last week. If St. Brown plays, you got to start St. Brown. Not making that mistake ever again. Yeah, Pierce for sure. Great matchup this week. Fournette, you still got to roll with Fournette. And then I agree with Sutton. I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy to me to not play Gabe Davis until he shows signs of being healthy. And then Cooks, I wouldn't put Cooks over those guys. So
no,
that's it. All right, and then Arnolfo back for more. Oh, well, that's a good look.
That's why Pierre does the names. I'm terrible at it.
if anybody knows about getting their name mispronounced, it's me.
Well, not only that, you're a teacher.
People, I just spell it.
You're a teacher, so I'm sure you get kids every year where you're like, oh my gosh, what is this name, right? And you have to try to figure it. So you're probably good at that.
All right. 10-team PPR. Okay, you got Josh Allen, Waddle, Judy, Olave, Chubb, James Robinson, Andrews, Garrett Wilson, Najee. I guess is that Deontay, Goddard, Robinson, and Cook. Okay, so it's 10 teams, but still, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good roster.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the one thing again for a 10-team league. You're good at running. Again, another team is good at running back. You got a great tight end, but man, it's hard in a 10-team league, especially in PPR, if you don't have a true stud wide receiver. And I like Waddle, and I like Olave, and I like Judy, but I don't feel like they're like stud every week stud type wide receivers. So this is a team that I would definitely be trying to go out and get Jamar Chase right now, because again, Jamar Chase to me is like, people are way too low on Jamar Chase right now. So maybe try to package let's see. Maybe try to package like Deontay Johnson. And you don't need Dallas Goedert. There are teams that are desperate that would love to have Dallas Goedert right now. I'll bet you could do like Dallas Goedert and maybe Deontay Johnson, maybe Jerry Jeudy. Just ask them, say, hey, you need a tight end. Like the guy who has Jamar Chase, you need a tight end. I got Dallas Goedert. Do you like Deontay Johnson? Do you like Jerry Jeudy? You like any of those guys? Yeah, I like Jeudy. I think he's going to be great. Okay, I'll give you Goddard and Jeudy for Chase. That's going to be hard to say no to when you're staring at your, Dalton Schultz as your tight end or whoever your crappy tight end is. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something that stands out to me. You don't need Goddard when you have Andrews.
Okay, so look, I would just say that the guys you want to dangle out there, throw on the trade block or whatever, Garrett Wilson, while he still has some value, Deontay Johnson still has some name value. What do you think about this, Chris? What would you say about maybe, look, you roll with Goddard as your tight end the rest of the season, and you trade Andrews to get just absolute stud like an A.J. Brown or something like that, Maybe you can get more out of him that way?
I mean, if I'm getting an absolute stud, like an A.J. Brown, like a Mike Evans, a CeeDee Lamb, a Jamar Chase, like a guy that I feel like is just an every week set and forget, no doubt, stud wide receiver who can carry my team. Stephon Diggs has just had 2 down games. Like somebody like that who I just feel like I don't have to. He's my wide receiver 1 every single week, and I don't have to think about it because it's hard to win. But man, having that tight end in the 10-team PPR is such a huge advantage too.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel good enough about Goddard. I feel like he will finish top 5, not number 1 tight end, but top 5. I feel good about him week in, week out. You know what I mean? And you might just get that bigger advantage at receiver, because I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, Dallas Goedert, falling over to get him. I feel like you could just get a absolute stud at receiver if you throw Mark Andrews out there, people are still, even though he just came off a massive game, people are still trading Tyreek Hill. Oh, Tua's hurt, whatever.
Yeah.
You could get Tyreek Hill maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
It depends on your league, of course. People are trading Devontae Adams. Why are people trading Devontae Adams? But we've seen it. Oh, I just got Devontae Adams. Like, you never know. So yeah, I would consider that. I'm not saying you have to trade Mark Andrews, but if you get that caliber of player at receiver, I would rather do that. Okay, got to get to this one. Maverick.
Wow, thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, so let's talk about this as a dynasty league. Finally, we love dynasty.
Yes.
All right, so he's got Herbert and Hurts. Man, that's nice. And this is not a super flex, then you're definitely good. Okay. I see some issues at running back.
Yep.
Okay, but you got Adams, Diggs, Elijah Moore, Palmer, Shakir, Osborne, Pitts, and Njoku. Should I make any changes? Upgraded at running back. I think you agree with me on that.
Yeah, but there's a big problem. This team is kind of, it's great that you're defending champ. It's great that you're 3-1. This team is at a make and break point right now. You have to make a decision right now. Am I going for back-to-back titles and then probably going to struggle for a few years? Because look, Adams over 30, Diggs hitting 30. You don't really have a lot of young wide receivers behind him. Your running backs, Penny is 26, Hunt is 27. J-Rob's fine. Pacheco, maybe he'll become something. White, maybe he'll become something. But I mean, you're like at a point where next year, like guys like Penny, guys like Hunt, guys like James Robinson, guys like Adams, guys like Diggs, their value could be way, way lower. It could go way down, right? If they struggle next year or they get a serious injury. So you're at this kind of like tipping point where you have to decide, am I going for it this year? Am I trying to win back-to-back and then I'll figure it out next year? Or do I want to retool and set myself up, for a year from now or 2 years from now to be like, have a great, young team that can contend for many years. So, because you're kind of in this no man's land. You don't have a lot of young talent on this team. You don't, Elijah Moore. That's pretty much it. Maybe Shakir becomes something. I mean, yeah, you got Pitts and you got the QBs, of course. You got the QBs, but in a one QB league, that's not a huge advantage. You need running back help. But I don't really know. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, maybe now's if you're going to go all in right now in Dynasty, Elijah Moore still has a ton of value in Dynasty, right? Because he's still a young wide receiver and he's good. Maybe you could package him and like James Robinson and get, like a Saquon. Well, you're probably going to get a Saquon Barkley because he's still relatively young. But I don't know. Because I hate trading for guys like Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon or CMC in Dynasty because this might be their last. Yeah, this might be their last year, right? So
that's what's tough here. Is look in you need an upgrade at running back, right? If you want to win the title, obviously you can't roll with Rashad Penny as your number one running back or Kareem Hunt as number two. But it's Dynasty. You don't want to trade 4 running backs necessarily. That's like the worst thing to do because then you're mortgaging the future. And even if you go for the ship this year, like you don't want to just completely give up on next year because I've been in that situation where I had just this dominant team and lost in the championship game. And then guess what? I had 0 draft picks next year and my team was still good, but it wasn't, a for sure contender. So I think try to make moves for a young running back, but you're not going to get Breece Hall, right? You're not going to get Breece Hall at a discount in any way. Don't trade Kyle Pitts. Like, I don't care what he's done. Just don't trade him. You're not going to get enough for him. You hold Kyle Pitts. I might consider, since you have Herbert, you can set it and forget for the next 10 years. Maybe you trade Hurts. I mean, because you should be able to get a really good player in exchange for that. So, look, I think with the age of your receivers, you don't have Justin Jefferson. You have Devontae Adams, right? I think you make a move, get a solid running back, and then at RB2, you just mix and match. Robinson, Hunt, whatever. And so I would dangle Hurts out there and see if you can get a really good running back who is still pretty young. And so let's see. I'm trying to think.
That's the problem because there's not really any good. We're kind of. I was talking to a friend of mine about this. We're kind of like in this transition where we've had a lot of good young wide receiver talent come in, but not a lot of young running back talent, right? Like, but next year there's going to be a ton of young running back. There should be a ton of talent coming in at running back. Almost feels like we're kind of in that 2015, 2016 phase where like guys like Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, those guys were kind of like getting to the end of their careers. And then in 2017, we had all this huge influx of running backs. The other thing I might do here is if you're like, you know what, I don't want to like go for the championship this year. I'm okay. Like, this is the time to trade Adams and Diggs. And I do like your idea about trading Hurts if it's a 1 QB league, because you can get like good young, you can get like probably first round picks, and next year's class is loaded, and you can probably get good young, like you could probably trade, like if it's a contending team, like a team that thinks they can win right now, you might be able to flip Adams for a guy like Michael Pittman and a first round pick, you know what I mean? Or Diggs for Michael Pittman and a first round pick, or Devonta Smith and a first round pick, or younger wide receivers still have tons of upside who can help you for years, and you get those draft picks to get running backs next year. So I think this team really has two ways to go. They can either do that and say, you know what, I'm not going for it this year. I'd rather like retool and have a great team for the next few years and trade away these older receivers while I can. Or you maybe trade Hurts and try to get a decent running back and go for it. But this is like, this team to me feels like it's right on that tipping point of like, you could win the championship this year, but you could also like not, and then next year you're like screwed.
It wouldn't be screwed because Diggs and Adams will still be studs next year, and Pitts will have
we
a real quarterback next year, hopefully.
We say that, but remember, Julio Jones was still considered a stud like at 31, and then bam, done. We haven't seen. It happens quick in the NFL. Happens quick, especially when these guys get in their 30s. So.
I'm always about win now. This guy, given the fact that he's defending champion and he's 3-1, I think he's going for another championship, right? He's not ready to rebuild. And so he wants to know what to do, probably optimize your team. I would say trade Jalen Hurts, try to get just maximum value. Don't worry about position. And then I would flip Hunt plus a player to try to upgrade a running back. Let's move on. Michael Fawcett. Hey, Michael. Been with us, chatted before. Appreciate you coming back. Flex Cooper, Ayuk, or Lazard? Well, we kind of answered this earlier.
We had this with Cooper and Lazard, not Ayuk. I'm still going to go Cooper. Ayuk, I can easily sit out of these guys this week. I'm still going to bank on the talent and upside of Cooper over Lazard.
Same here. I'm going to go with Cooper. This is close, but yeah, I'll go with Cooper. Ali says, great show. Well, thanks. We appreciate that. Lost Javonte. That's always a tough blow. So who would be your top priority? Yeah, I already talked about this earlier. And, my waiver picks, I don't think did I mention Mike Boone in the waiver video? I don't know if I even did.
I think you didn't mention him as a pickup. You just mentioned him as like, he's going to get more opportunity now.
They're like, hey, if you're desperate. Don't like Boone option with Murray. I agree. You are 1-3, but unfortunately, Mike Boone is not the answer to your problems. If Rachaad White is out there, that's my top choice. Obviously, it depends who else is available. Mostert's fine, but he's kind of like a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. He's not going to really help you either. Brian Robinson is probably taken. So if you want to know, by the way, guys, also – I think I mentioned this earlier, join the Discord and you can throw your questions out there, not just us, but someone else will help. You can throw polls out there. That's probably the easiest way to get answers to your question. Who do you like better, player A, B, C, or D? And we'll get to that. So, Ali, the short answer is Rachaad White would be my first choice, but it depends who else is available. Roberto, what is up?
What's up, Roberto?
All right, Roberto, there's not a day that passes by that Roberto isn't making some sort of trade negotiation, or at least thinking about it. Like he's never not trading. I love that. All right, Kamara, Edmonds, Gallup, or Penny, Etienne, Olave. And he knows not to say which side he's on.
Yeah. I'm going to – man. This trade, what is this? Evans and Etienne are almost like throwaways at this point. I guess I slightly prefer Etienne over Edmonds, just because if James Robinson goes down, I feel better about what Etienne's role will be than what Edmonds' role will be. But it's like whatever. I like Kamara more than Penny, but I like Olave way more than Gallup. So I think I'm going to go the Penny Etienne Olave side. But it's not like a smash or anything. I just slightly prefer that side.
I mean, not saying I'm totally buying into Penny rest of the season, but I'm worried about Kamara. So I'll take the Olave side because I think he's the best player in this whole thing, this whole mess. Etienne and Edmonds, I kind of just like ignore that they're there. So I'll go with the Penny Olave side. And Arnolfo, following up on his previous one, he's 1-3. Yeah, well, you're not the only defending champ to kind of struggle out of the gate. Don't worry, it's still early, and you don't have to make a move. I know we just talked about your whole thing with your 10-team league, but don't feel like you have to make a move right now. You don't have to. All right, Derek Just, also a loyal in-game community member. Appreciate that. 10-team, full PPR, also 1-3. All right, so got Dak and Cousins, CMC, Connor, I think Gibson, Pollard, Hunt, Lamb, Cooks, Ayuk, Hollywood, Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis, Pitts. That's why you're 1-3.
Yeah. I mean, look, people still believe in Connor. This is the time you got to trade this guy before it's too late. I'm not saying you can get a lot for James Conner, but people still think like Connor will be okay. Like, oh, he'll be okay. He'll be okay. Like, he's not going to be okay.
It's not okay.
And like, I love Lamb. I love Hollywood. I think Cooks is okay. Like, he's going to be up and down. Of course, Samuel's the same thing. Gabe, when he gets healthy, you're not bad at wide receiver, but you definitely need running back help. So maybe like Connor and Curtis Samuel, or Connor and Cooks, who just came off a big game, somebody like that, and see if you can go get a running back, like a decent running back. Like, I mean, you're probably not going to get JT for those guys. I mean, maybe, you never know. You never know. I've seen some JT trades that are crazy. You don't know how desperate people are right now. Like, the guy with JT or the girl with JT is 0-4. They're desperate. Like, they need points. They can't have JT on the bench missing this week, so you never know. But I like packaging Connor and then like either Samuel or Cooks and get a solid, RB2. Probably not going to get Dameon Pierce because his helium is going for him, but
Yep. Well, that's it. You need to upgrade a running back. Pitts should get better. Gabe Davis should get healthy and start to do something. When Dak comes back, you got the Dak Lamb connection. You know what? Don't trade Hollywood because of the Hopkins thing. I know we've said this several times. Hollywood's been your best player probably on this team. So hold on there. Yeah, try to trade away Connor and Gibson. It's probably too late for Gibson, but yeah, definitely try to upgrade it. Running back. All right, Steven 3V, also very frequent chatter. Start Njoku or Ertz?
I still got to go Ertz, not to mention revenge game narrative right here with Ertz, right? Revenge game
is auto start.
Yeah, I still go Ertz anyways. Like I have Njoku in one league, and if somebody said like, "Hey, I'll let you play Zach Ertz this week, give me Njoku," I'll say gladly. Yeah.
Ertz is not quite no matter what auto start, but he's a solid start, and Hopkins still not back. Yeah, go with Ertz. Ivan wants to know, okay, so you got Justin Jefferson, but also Thielen, Samuel, Wilson, who to trade away and for what running back?
All right, see, these questions are always so hard because, like, everybody values players differently, right? Like, what happened?
Sorry.
Yeah, everybody values players so differently. Like I like Curtis Samuel the most out of this group, but somebody else might like Garrett Wilson the most out of this group. Somebody else might like Thielen the most out of this group. So, I mean, the best thing to do is, you're not going to get a great running back for any of these guys. You're going to get like a solid, like a guy you can feel okay about, week in and week out as an RB2. Like maybe you can get like an AJ Dillon type, somebody who hasn't been putting up huge points. You're not going to get like a great running back, obviously, from these guys.
Well, you know who you could get? Maybe this might be the time you buy low on David Montgomery because he hadn't played, maybe question. He, not the most exciting, but he could be at least a solid starter, low-end RB2, mid-range RB2. I mean, that's better than Thielen, right? Who's kind of like maybe you play him, maybe you don't. Same thing. You have all three of these guys. They're kind of interchangeable. So that might be a guy you look for.
Yeah, what I would do in this case is I would go out to the David Montgomery owner and say, hey, are you know, I'm looking to move a wide receiver for a running back. Do you like Thielen, Samuel, or Garrett Wilson? And they might come back and say, like, yeah, I like Curtis Samuel. Like, okay, would you do Curtis Samuel for David Montgomery? Because that's the thing. This isn't like these guys are all valued so similarly. It's going to come down to who does the player prefer? Which one of these guys does that player prefer?
Yep. Yeah, I've heard it. You know what, guys? Someone said my camera. It's actually not my camera. My camera's good. It's my internet. I live kind of out in the country ish. So apologies for that. Hopefully my voice is crystal clear though.
See, that's why you got to get us like 100K subscribers so Pierre can move somewhere with good Wi-Fi.
There you go. I like that idea.
Crystal clear.
All right. Asked a few days about London and Pitt starting both, and this week happened. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I still feel really good about Drake London. I don't feel great about Pitts anymore. Like, but you can't. Like, what do you? That's the thing. What are you gonna do with Pitts? Like, do you have David Njoku? Do you have Gerald Everett? Like, are one of those guys still on waiver wire? Like, if they are, then I probably feel better starting them over Pitts. But I'm not going to start like Robert Tonyan. I'm not going to start like Dawson Knox. I'm just not going to start those guys over Pitts. Like, I'm just not going to do it. So I don't really know what you can do. And you can't trade them. You can't trade Pitts. No one's taking Pitts right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you're selling rock bottom low on Pitts. Look, Pitts should get better, and not just because he's good, but because he actually is getting targets. He's getting air yards. His target share for the team is pretty high. It's just they're just not passing the ball much. They're running and running and running. But look, maybe with Cordero Patterson out, maybe they're forced to pass the ball more.
He's going to take Arthur Smith.
I'm not saying it'll. Look, you just have to hold Pitts. I mean, London's tradable still, I think. Yeah, I mean, I know you hate rolling them both out, but I think better days are going to come. And then Joe's just stopping by to say, what's up? How you doing,
what's
Joe?
Up, Joe?
I know on Saturday and Sunday, probably.
Yes. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, wait, and Joe has a question, but we'll get back to that. So this one was first, Mazzella Mafia. All right, so we got Henry, Chubb, I guess A.J. Brown, Waddle, Pitts, Kirk, and on the bench, Jacobs, Hunt, Olave, and Wilson Jr. He's been offered JT for Waddle or Brown.
I mean, I definitely do JT for Waddle.
Yes.
If it's AJ, do I do it if it's AJ Brown? See, this is where I think am I overreacting to JT's slow start? Like, because I should be like, yes, I take JT for AJ Brown, right? Like, I do that, no doubt. But now I'm kind of wondering.
Even if he's not last year, like he's probably not going to be last year's JT. But I mean, what's his worst case scenario if he's healthy rest of the season? He's still in every week at low end RB1. I mean, you do that for a guy like Waddle.
For Waddle, definitely. For Waddle, I do it, no doubt for me.
AJ Brown's for Brown, I don't think.
What's that?
I don't know if I would do it for Brown though.
That's the one. I mean, it depends because it could be Hollywood Brown. Is it Hollywood Brown or AJ Brown? If it's Hollywood Brown, I do it, even though I do really like Hollywood Brown.
Well, that's true.
If it's AJ Brown, that's where I'm closer because, man, the Eagles' offense looks so good, so good.
I'm assuming it's AJ Brown because he listed him first, and I wouldn't think anybody would offer JT for Hollywood Brown. But hey, who knows? Look, I would, I would take JT for Waddle, and I'm a Waddle stan. He's the wallpaper on my computer is Jalen Waddle. All right, but I would take JT over.
Yeah, Brown's closer if it's AJ Brown.
All right, so Joe's question is: he's got Kupp, Deontay Johnson. Should I look for another wide receiver? Burks is out, Dotson's out. Yeah, Deontay's not really looking like a solid number 2 guy, is he?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it shakes out this week. I know people just assume Pickett is going to target Pickens. It's always hard to say those two guys, right? Pickett and Pickens, because he did last week. But like I've been saying, Pickett, the quarterback, did not get to practice with the first team at all, right? Trubisky's practicing with the first team all week. He's practicing with the backups. So now he's going to practice with the first team. He's going to practice with Deontay Johnson for a full week. We can't just assume he's going to force feed Pickens because that's what he did in the second half of last game when he had to come in completely unprepared. So I'm not ready to give up on Deontay Johnson, but I'm terrified of Pickett. See, man, gosh. Okay, but it has to be so close. I'm terrified of Pickett because I never thought Pickett was an NFL QB to begin with. I don't think he's an NFL. I don't think he's going to be good in the NFL. That's what really worries me, is that this offense is going to actually get worse. If that's possible, I think it's actually going to get worse with Pickett. So, but what can you do? No one wants Deontay Johnson right now, so you're stuck with him.
Yeah, look, it is probably going to get worse before it gets better, because the next two games are really tough for Pittsburgh, including, as you know, going on the road to Buffalo this week. So it is the first actual start. So yeah, this week it'll be bad. I mean, if you're going to trade Deontay Johnson, now would be the time, but I don't think it's worth it. I wouldn't. I mean, sure, you can look for another receiver, but who are you going to trade for him, right? So anyways, we'll get more in depth in that. I know Joe will talk to you on probably Saturday and or Sunday. All right, so let's go down to Ryan Leal, also a loyal member here. Where can I upgrade? You got Brady Mariota, Henry Hall, Damian Harris, Khalil Herbert, AJ Brown, Amon St. Brown. That's pretty good. Dobbs, Reynolds. Okay, so maybe some depth at receiver, and then you got Andrews. All right, appreciate that. What do you think? Probably wide receiver 3 and 4, right?
Yeah, you need some wide receiver depth for sure. Although I think if Dobbs is your wide receiver 4, I'd feel okay about that. I mean, I'd maybe be looking to move Damian Harris, maybe even Khalil Herbert right now. It's always a good time to try to move, the backup while they're still the starter, because people get desperate. People lost Javonte, and you're like, do you want to play Mike Boone or do you want to play Khalil Herbert this week? And people sometimes will say, screw it, just give me Khalil Herbert. I don't care, right? I don't want to play. I don't want to play Mike Boone.
It's true.
So I would try to move Damian Harris and get like a solid, wide receiver 3. You're not going to get like a stud, obviously, but if you could get maybe like an Allen Lazard, although he is coming off a nice game, so maybe people don't. And you do have Dobbs, maybe people don't want to move him. Trying to think of some of those guys in like that kind of wide receiver 3 range. Maybe Michael Thomas. Like, I know we're not high on Michael Thomas, but he's kind of low right now because he didn't play last week. People kind of forgotten about Michael Thomas. So guys like that. You don't have to go for those guys, but guys kind of in that range.
Yeah, I would say with this team, really don't mess with it too much. Don't mess with the core. Like, okay, Andrews and Higbee, you're great at tight end. Just leave it and be happy. AJ Brown and Amon St. Brown, like, just don't touch those 2 receivers. You're solid there. And then you got Derrick Henry and Breece Hall. Like, you have a really solid core that I would not break up. And Brady, honestly, I will get better the rest of the season. I mean, he missed Evans for that game. He missed Godwin for a couple of games. You know what? He'll get much better as the season goes on. So you don't really need to do much for your starters. Just improve that wide receiver depth. And I would try to trade Khalil Herbert if I could to get a better number 3 receiver type. And maybe if you can package a guy like Harris or Herbert with Dobbs, now he's got a little bit of helium, and get like a solid wide receiver 3. Or, who knows? Like, we're at this point, maybe you package a guy like Reynolds or Dobbs plus Herbert. Maybe you get like a Devontae Smith type. I mean, you never know.
People are super low on him because bad game last week.
Yep. So that's all I would do, but I would not mess with your core. Gary wants to know, Gary Silva, super flex. All right. So Goff and Wentz, Kamara, Elliott, Pollard, Penny, Kupp, Kirk, Thomas, Olave, Boyd, Andrews, and Kittle. Trade for a running back.
Yes.
Yes.
You this running back group right here was great. Well, aside from like Penny and Pollard, but Kamara, I mean, take me back to 2018, you're winning your league, baby. You're winning your league with these running backs. 2018, 2019, you're winning your championship, no doubt. Unfortunately, it's 2022. Yeah, you definitely need to upgrade those running backs because, man, yeah. But
I mean, your receivers are good, but honestly, for super flex, having Wentz as a starter every week, with Goff as your number 1, that's probably not going to be enough.
That's not going to be enough. Not going to be enough. You need quarterback help. You need running back help. I would say, man, that's tough with Goff and Wentz because, I mean, hopefully there's some QBs on the waiver, but in Superflex, I mean, unless it's like
fat chance,
unless it's a casual league, like my casual league, there's QBs on the waiver wire. But if it's not, I mean, if you're starting Goff and Wentz, it's probably not a very casual league because obviously
No.
QBs went early.
I mean, you got to say, look, you got 2 top high-end tight ends. You should
That's what I
probably
was gonna
trade one
say.
to get an upgraded running back or quarterback. But Kittle's value right now is so low, you can't really trade him.
I know.
So
That's
do you
what I
want
was
to trade
thinking.
Andrews
Like,
and rely on Kittle? You don't want to do that either. That's the problem.
I mean, if you can maybe trade Andrews for a good QB, obviously you're not going to get like one of the studs. Like you're not going to trade Andrews and get like Lamar or Josh Allen or Hurts. But if you can get like a good solid QB, like Joe Burrow is a guy I feel like he still hasn't had a big game. He's still kind of like not valued very highly, and I think he'll get better. This offense will get better. So if you could trade like Andrews and get like Joe Burrow, I think I'd probably do that because you really do need like you do need a QB that you can just count on week in and week out. You don't want to be counting on Carson Wentz every week. Trust me. As a Commanders fan, trust me. You don't want to be counting on Wentz.
No, I mean you might need to try to aim higher there. Maybe a guy who could be a reliable guy who's a little bit low in value, like a Derek Carr, or maybe Jameis Winston because he's banged up. If you can get a guy like that, maybe, but it's going to be hard, right? Super flex.
Yeah, but I'm not going to trade like Andrews for Derek Carr.
No,
or Jameis
no, I wouldn't
Winston.
trade Andrews. No, I wouldn't trade Andrews for Jameis Winston straight up. No. Yeah.
Like I don't mind moving Andrews, especially in Superflex. If you can get like a good every week QB, you're not going to get like the top 5 guys or whatever, top 6. You're just not. But if you can still get like a good, like I said, like Joe Burrow, but that QB is such a wasteland this year. It's like you got like 5 or 6 really good guys, and then you have like maybe like a few okay guys, and then everybody else is terrible. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is probably another league where I would try as hard as you can, flip Elliott based on his name value, trade Penny, sell high on Penny while you can.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to Steven Franco. Just lost Javonte. Condolences. You got Saquon and Pierce, so you're good.
Yeah,
Brian Robinson and Edmonds. Jefferson, Mike Williams, Sutton, Olave, Hollywood. Nice. For a 12 team?
No, you don't even need, like, honestly, like, you're not even, like, look, I love Javonte. I'm sad about Javonte, but you're not even going to miss Javonte. You got Saquon and Pierce. You got Jefferson, Sutton, Olave, Hollywood, and Mike Williams. You're not even gonna know you lost Javonte. This team is stacked, like absolutely stacked.
Pierce has been better than Javonte, so you really lost your running back 3, technically.
Yeah. I mean, this team is insane.
I would think you'd agree. Don't sacrifice your strength, your depth at receiver just to try to get a better running back because you might regret it.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, New York 10 team, half PPR, 1-3, Russ, Eckler, Jones, Waddle, Samuel, Njoku, Kamara, San Francisco defense, etc., etc. Who should I give for Adams or Chase? Okay.
Again, Eckler. Well,
Eckler.
hold on. Who else? Hold on.
But look at the running. Well, I believe he's got Kamara. So are you rolling with Kamara or Dylan? Maybe no. You got Dylan and Jones. You think you could trade Aaron Jones then?
Yeah, I might try to. I don't know if Jones will be enough for those guys, but maybe if you go Jones and Cooks coming off a nice game, or maybe Jones and Devonta,
or Samuel,
or maybe Jones and Curtis Samuel. Again, I would go. So I don't know if the same player has Adams or Chase, or if it's different players. But what I would do is I would go out or reach out to him and be like, "Hey, I'm looking for a wide receiver upgrade. I'm willing to move Aaron Jones and another wide receiver, not named Waddle, I guess. Like say any wide receiver other than Waddle, because I'd probably be fine moving Jones and any of your other wide receivers to get one of those guys, and just see which one see if they say like, yeah, I really like Devonta Smith or I really like Curtis Samuel. Like, cool, okay, so Jones and Samuel enough. That's what I would do. That's how I would do it.
Yep, I agree with that. I would say Eckler. We told someone earlier Eckler might be a good sell high, but you kind of need him because otherwise you're just hoping that Green Bay backfield carries you and that Kamara comes back to form. So, yeah, I would trade Jones coming off a big game. All right, so let's see here. Dorn Smitty?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. PPR have Chubb, Dobbins, Pierce, Monty, and Herbert, and then a wide receiver, Jefferson, Godwin, Olave. Pretty nice. So 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and the flex.
All right, well, I'm going to say 2 running backs, Chubb and Pierce. 2 wide receivers, Jefferson, Godwin. And then I'm going to... I mean, if Jameis plays, definitely flexing Olave.
Yeah, I mean, to me, pretty easily when I see those 3 receivers there, I'm going with those as my 2 receivers and my flex. Definitely Jefferson, definitely Godwin, and I think you can flex Olave. You know, I would put him over Dobbins. So, and then Chubb and Pierce. Yeah, you don't need to mess with the Chicago backfield because you got better options. Brandon DeHoney wants to know feelings on Akers. Yes, I do. Wanting to trade Dobbs for him. Would you trade Dobbs for Akers? I don't see.
No.
Look, I'm the biggest Akers stan there is. I'm not trading someone of value for him right now because it's not him. That's the problem. It's the offensive line. It's the offensive scheme. There's a lot of issues. So
even Kupp. I know Kupp's putting up points, but he's only averaged his best game this year. Yards per reception is 11. He's been under 10. He's been in single digits yard per reception in every game but one. And he's not catching a ton of touchdowns because this offense, it's like snap. Basically, they snap the ball, Stafford finds Kupp, and he throws it to him, and that's it. It's like snap, Kupp. There's no downfield. There's no waiting for route. It's just find Kupp, get it to him quick. He gets tackled, and we move on to the next play. That's what this offense is. So, yeah, I don't want, like I said, Kupp and Higbee, and that's all I want out of this offense. It's sad. It's crazy. Who would have thought the Sean McVay offense would be like this? But here we are.
Here we are. Alan Haraji wants to know, what do I do? Burrow, Etienne, Swift, Herbert, JJ, London, Renfro, Dotson, probably, Deontay, Ayuk, Andrews. Okay. So I think we're looking for start-sit advice here. 1 running back.
Oh, you only need 1 running back. That's nice. That's helpful.
Well, maybe he's already got someone locked in. Who knows? Okay, so 1 running back, though. What are the options? Swift probably not going to play. Etienne, you can't play. Is it just Herbert? Is that the only option we really have?
That's the only option you have, it looks like. I mean, hopefully, for your sake, Monty sits again, because then Herbert is a great start if he does. So,
all right. So then 2 receivers. I mean, if that's JJ, obviously you're going with Jefferson.
Yeah, obviously Jefferson. Oh, man, I don't love any of these other options. If Renfro plays, I probably go him just because it's the Chiefs. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be they're going to have to throw the ball a ton. They're not going to stop Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be like they're going to have to throw the ball a ton in this game to have any chance. So I probably go Renfro. But if he doesn't play, then I probably go London would be my next choice.
And then we got to flex too.
Oh, man, this is going to get tough.
I mean, like, I'll say easily the running back is Herbert. I wouldn't consider either the other 2. So you start JJ, you start Renfro if he plays. And then at flex, let's just say London and, I mean, what, Deontay, right? Probably Deontay.
Well, needs 2 flexes.
2 flexes.
I might go. I'm not.
Maybe
I'm just not going to trust Deontay against the Bills with Kenny Pickett first game. Like, if he goes off, he has a great. If he catches 10 passes, okay. Oh well, my loss. Like, this could just be a game where Kenny Pickett throws for like 150 yards and 3 interceptions and does nothing. In Buffalo, like, I think I would play Dobbs over Deontay. Honestly, at least at least he's got Aaron Rodgers and he's getting some targets.
You know what? I can definitely see that. And by the way, Dotson probably not playing, so you can just scratch him. So
yeah, Dotson probably out.
Take your pick there. Keith with a very good question here. Has anybody had a successful revenge game this season? You know what? I don't feel like we've even called. I think week 1 was like every game had a revenge narrative.
Yeah.
But nothing really happened, right? It was like Russ, and then Russ got trampled by Seattle. So that's a good point, Keith. I'm going to think about that. I'm going to do some research. Donnie Stanley wants to know, Higbee and Schultz, does Schultz have trade value at this point? Should I hold till he has a good game? No and yes.
Yeah, you can't, no one's taking Schultz now. They've just seen back-to-back terrible games, a big goose egg last week. No one is taking Schultz. Like, at least wait till Dak comes back and he has a good game with Dak. Then you can think about trading.
And I do think he will get better. Like, obviously, he's banged up, not 100%. Cooper Rush, it's different vibe. I think he'll be good second half. So just hold tight. Big Luscious again. Trade Lenny for Swift.
I do this easy.
I would.
And here's okay, we saw it in week 4 here. The first 3 weeks it was all Fournette, right? It was all Fournette. But the Bucks, we've been talking about it. It's not going to be like this all year. The Bucks can't do this. He can't handle this. 61% of the snaps in this last game, right? And Rachaad White's role is only going to get bigger. It's not going to get smaller. They trusted him in pass protection. They trusted him on the goal line. They trusted him. Leonard Fournette's role is only going to get smaller. I don't think it's going to be like Rachaad White's going to take over the backfield, but it's going to be closer to 55-45 when this is all said and done. So, yes, I prefer Swift.
Yep. And you know what? Love this thinking. This is exactly what we kind of try to preach, is always looking ahead. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't think about last year is over. Forget what happened last. It does not matter anymore. Don't even think too hard about last week. What's going to happen going forward? Swift does have more upside than Lenny. You just got to hope he stays healthy.
Also, you have White, so you have the added advantage that if Lenny gets hurt, you now basically have Leonard Fournette again. So you have Swift and Leonard Fournette now.
That's exactly it. That's smart thinking here. All right, Stephen Franco again wants to know, start one flex, Olave, Sutton.
Oh, my God.
Hollywood. I mean, they're all good choices. That's the good news. Bad news, you got to sit 2 of these guys.
Can I sit Sutton? Can I sit Hollywood? I can't sit these guys. How do you sit these guys?
But you have no choice. You have to sit 2 of these guys.
I guess I can sit Olave. I love Olave, and he's in a smash spot this week, and he could go off. And especially if Jameis plays, he might go off. But I can't start him over these 2 guys. Oh, man.
You know what? I mean, just based on the matchup, I think I have to go Sutton. Normally, I would say it's Hollywood because of so many targets, but he's going against the Eagles. That really could be a tough matchup for them. And Sutton gets the Colts, which, as we know, have not been good on defense. So I feel that this week, the matchup kind of sways me towards Sutton.
Yeah, the matchup definitely favors Sutton. The worry with Sutton, of course, is it's the Colts. Is it like they win 10-3? You know what I mean? They just don't do anything on offense because the defense although they are missing Randy Gregory, which will hurt, but the defense just shuts down the Colts and they just kick 3 field goals and 4 field goals and win it that way. That's my only worry with Sutton, but I think the matchup, I think they're both going to be great, so I'll give the matchup edge to Sutton as well. So he does have the matchup edge, so I'll give the edge to Sutton.
Yeah, this could be one of those infamous Thursday night games that there's no touchdowns, but
yeah,
we'll see. Mike D, always my favorite Beastie Boy. All right, 12 team, half PPR. I have Henry, Zeke, Akers, Debo, Adams, Cooks, Olave, Curtis Samuel, Judy. Would you trade Adams and Olave for CMC, or Olave and Judy for Breece Hall?
Ooh, man.
I mean, I get making a move for a running back because you don't want Zeke as your RB2 and you don't want Akers as your RB anything right now. I mean, I feel like Adams and Olave, I think that's too much.
Yeah, I kind of like the Olave and Judy for Breece Hall. Even though I do prefer CMC, I still think CMC will be great. And even last week, he was great. He didn't do anything. He's still great. He's just great in fantasy. He doesn't do anything, and he's oh, look how many points he scored, right? He's kind of like Cooper Kupp. It's Cooper Kupp didn't do anything tonight. Wait, he's got 20 fantasy points. How did that happen? He's just always great. But I feel like that's a lot to give up. But I think Olave and Judy for Breece Hall, I can do that. Even though I do really like Olave, I'm not super high on Judy, but I mean, you still got Debo, you still got Adams, you'll still have Cooks, you'll still have Curtis Samuel. You can mix and match those guys as your wide receiver 3, and you're getting a big upgrade at running back. So I think I do that one. I do Olave and Judy for Breece Hall.
I would do that too. I think it helps your team. It does help too. It's half PPR, so that kind of negates, some of the value Olave has. But yeah, I would do that. Look, if you think the owner is willing to do this, see if you can get a second piece thrown in there. If not, you could still do Olave and Judy. Yeah. Roberto, of course, has a spicy deal in the works. Let's see what it is.
Whoa. Look, It's hard to give up Barkley right now, but I have to give up Barkley for this. I'm getting JT, I'm getting Kelsey, and I'm getting Debo, and basically Hawkinson's
tight end.
nothing. Like, come on. As soon as I'm on Raw and Chark are back, he's going to go back to being his 7-point tight end guy, right? He's not like last week. Great, you started them. He helped you win. But that's it. That's all you're getting from him. Like, you got to take the Kelsey, JT, and Debo side here. Have to. That's just 3 studs.
Yeah, that's an easy one. You're taking that side A for sure there. All right, Styling Moose. Also lost Javonte. We need some help here. Should I start Cooks, Jamal Williams, or CEH? Just to clarify, because you're saying Cooks, but I know you're talking running backs. Are we talking about Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I'm gonna assume Dalvin Cook because we're talking about running backs.
I mean, if it's Dalvin Cook, well, because I get it. Look, Jamal Williams had a monster game. CEH has been a stud, so that is kind of tough. So let's do that first, and then we'll get to the rest. So if it's Dalvin Cook, Jamal Williams, or CEH?
This week I'm going Dalvin Cook confidently against the Bears. I'm playing him confidently against the Bears. They cannot stop anybody on the ground at all. Like, this is a huge bounce back, get right spot for Dalvin Cook. I can't sit him this week.
Yeah. Gonna go with Dalvin Cook. I know Williams was great, and even if Swift doesn't play, which I don't expect him to, it's not Seattle. He's not gonna. It might actually be a down game for him. So yeah, definitely Cook. All right, Higbee or Hawkinson.
I gotta go. I mean, unless if Amon-Ra and DJ Chark are out again, like all their wide receivers are out again, then I'll go Hawkinson. But if they're back, I gotta go Higbee because Higbee's too. But it's like this. All Stafford, Cup, Higbee, Cup, Higbee, Cup, Higbee, Cup, Higbee. Like, that's the whole game, right? It's a Cup, Higbee. It's just those 2 guys. So, Higbee doesn't have a ton of upside, of course, but, if Amon-Ra and DJ Chark are back, that's going to kill Hawkinson. So I'm going Higbee.
Yeah, Higbee's a safer play, actually. But, look at the injury report there for Detroit and see what happens. But it's definitely not a favorable matchup for him either. All right, so then we got Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, or Mike Williams. It comes down to Sutton or Williams. I'm going to lean Sutton. What about you?
Yeah, say we can only play one of these guys. We're only playing one wide receiver.
I'm assuming.
Well, then I'll give Sutton the slight edge. Mike Williams does have a tough matchup this week, so I'll go with Sutton.
Yeah, I got Sutton. Mike Williams is the number 2 pick there. All right, good luck. And then Bez 787. Where can I upgrade it? So we got Burrow, CMC, Swift, Pittman, Chase. All right, I sense some bad luck here, right? Your team should be smashing, but it's not probably. Okay, Everett / Njoku, Renfro, Hunt, Zay Jones, Etienne. Yeah, you're probably not undefeated.
I don't even think you can upgrade a running back. I mean, yes, you need a running back right now because Swift is hurt, but once Swift comes back, you're going to be great at running back. You're great at wide receiver. You have two good enough tight ends. I mean, you could upgrade at tight end, but nobody's giving you Andrews or Kelsey right now unless you give them, somebody really good in return. I think you're great. I think you're set. I mean, yeah, you're going to miss Swift for probably a couple more weeks, and that hurts. But once he comes back, you'll be more than solid. You'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, hate to feel like this is a non-answer, but there's really not much you can do. You have a great team. You just had some bad luck. Obviously, Swift hurt. Jamar Chase has been kind of disappointing. He'll be fine. All right, Etienne, I mean, he's just a bust, right? But nobody thought that was going to happen. But you can't trade him. I mean, I don't think. Yeah. So there's really not much you can do but hold tight and hope for the best. And
yeah, you don't want to do stuff just to do stuff when you have a team like this. Like, It's one thing where we look at some of these. It's like, okay, you need a running back or you need a wide receiver. This team doesn't need a running back or wide receiver. It just needs to have a little patience. I think just a little bit.
Need some better luck.
And some better luck, yes.
Steven, again, what to do with Gabe Davis, Dalvin Cook, and Najee? Okay, let's work backwards here and repeat what we've said about Najee. How do you feel about
Najee? Najee, you just have to hold him. And if unless you have like a way better option at running back, you just got to start him and hope for the best. Dalvin Cook this week, you have to start him. I already talked about it. It's the Bears, one of the worst defenses against the run, and their offense doesn't put together drives. Like they'll just keep giving the ball back to even last week. they would like hit on a deep play, like a 40-yard catch. They're at the 30, and then they would go like, stuff run, stuffed, incomplete pass, field goal, and then give the ball right back to the offense. Like they don't put together long drives, like right, like teams just keep giving the ball back to the other team. So you have to start Dalvin Cook this week. And then I think Gabe Davis also a guy you just have to hold because he's battling that ankle injury right now. He's not 100%. I think he'll get better. So, hold, start with confidence, and hold. That's my take.
Yeah, that's okay. Najee, you have to hold. I mean, just holding over the best. Cook, same thing. I mean, you don't really need to trade him at this point. I don't see if there's great reason to. I'm getting close to saying maybe you do move on from Gabe Davis because what I'm concerned about, I know he hasn't been 100%. I guess let's see what happens this week, right? But he's really not getting targeted at a high enough rate in this offense. And that's what concerns me. I know that's one of the things that the doubters had going into the season is he's going to be, boom or bust, and he's not going to be a real number 2 guy. Let's see what happens if his ankle is healthy, right? Is that what it is, or is it something else? Is it maybe he's just not going to be a featured part of the passing game like we thought? So I might consider moving on from Davis if somebody still believes he's going to be this breakout star. JK wants to know 10-team full PPR: Kamara, CEH, Hall, Henderson, Etienne, Jefferson, Hill, Higgins, Ayuk, Thomas, Waller, Russ, and Dak. Okay, this is a 10-team league. Should I be looking for an RB1? Always.
Yeah, because you're stacked at wide receiver. You got three wide receiver ones, honestly. I think we can consider Higgins a wide receiver 1 at this point.
Yeah, I do.
I'd be looking at Breece Hall might become a running back 1. Like you're not really that bad. I mean, if you could move maybe like CEH and Michael Thomas, if somebody still believes in Michael Thomas, or I don't know what your tight end options are, but if like Njoku is on the waiver wire still, I'd be okay moving CEH and Waller, like people who still think Waller is going to be great, and see if you can get like an RB1. Maybe you can go out and get Swift right now because you have Breece Hall, you have Kamara. Hopefully he's back. Maybe you can trade CEH and Waller and get Swift right now. And yeah, you won't have him for 2 weeks, but you can hold the fort down with Hall and Kamara, and then you have Swift when he comes back. So I would definitely be, or maybe even Pierce. I know Pierce has a lot of helium right now, but so does CEH, right? So does CEH. So something like that.
Yeah. Should you be looking for an RB1? Of course, if you can get one, it's a different matter. I would say because we've, definitely feel good, hold on to Hall. You're not really going to start Kamara and CH and Hall every week, probably. Yeah. I don't think you have 3 running back slots. So I would try to move one of those guys plus a Michael Thomas and see if you can upgrade a running back that way. That's what I would do. And then he has Henderson, which Alan, I see in the chat, you're saying, by the way, you have Darrell Henderson in case that matters. No, it really doesn't.
No, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't. All right, Luis Mendez. Here we are. Algier or Etienne? Didn't think you'd be asking this before the season started.
Do we want the running back who probably will be the starter against the Bucs, or do we want the running back who will probably get very little touches against the Texans?
You chase the volume.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Algier, and you just hope he scores a touchdown. Maybe he catches some dump-offs.
I mean, that to me, it's definitely Algier because what possible path to relevance does Etienne have? I mean, I get it's a good matchup, but still, no.
Yeah.
No. All right, Mohammed Rashid wants to know: would you get Bateman for DJ Moore and B-Rob? I mean, I know DJ Moore we feel like is kind of nothing. Would you do this to get Bateman?
No, I know I don't really want DJ Moore, but I'd rather shoot for the potential of Brian Robinson. Like, first of all, we haven't really heard an update on Bateman's injury, but the last we heard was it was midfoot, which could be serious. Could be nothing, but it could be serious. Also, he's just not really involved like I thought he would be. Like, just not getting that target share like I thought. So I think I'd rather gamble on Brian Robinson potentially breaking out.
Yeah, maybe a week ago I might have said Bateman, but of course doing nothing plus getting hurt kind of a bad time to buy in on Bateman, and I'm not out on him rest of the season, but yeah, this isn't the time to do that move. So if you can get maybe a different receiver who you feel is comparable, but yeah, this is not the time to do that. All right, and then Luis, you're still on here. He's asking, drop Kenneth Walker to pick up Rachaad White? Yes.
I do it. Yep, I do it.
I would definitely do it. Rachaad White is involved. Walker might be eventually, but not yet. All right, Cam Bam. The question is, do I trade Pierce, Zeke, and Lockett for Swift and Dobbs?
Yeah, I think I do. Because I prefer Swift over Pierce.
Yeah.
Zeke and Lockett.
Zeke's like a throw-in.
Yeah, Zeke's like a throw-in. Lockett's fine in like a PPR league, but he's just fine. Dobbs at least has some potential upside. Yeah, I take Swift and Dobbs.
Yeah, I do that too. Obviously, you're taking on risk with Swift because he's already hurt and he tends to do that, but the upside is so massive. It is worth it. I would do this. And Dobbs and Lockett might kind of be the same kind of guy the rest of the season. I know Lockett probably will be better for the most part, but that's not really making or breaking your team. What's going to make or break this deal is Swift a league winner or is he just an injured player all the time? So
yeah,
I think it's worth a shot, right? Hey, what wins championships?
Upside. Exactly.
Upside. Stinger, what is up,
Stinger?
All right. Keep Winston or drop him for Smith, Jimmy G, Pickett, Trubisky, or Zach Wilson.
The only one out of there I would consider is Zach Wilson this week because he does have a good matchup against your Dolphins, right? We'll give up a ton of yards to quarterbacks. And
it's tough to answer because is Winston going to play? Right? I mean, if he plays, keep him. If he doesn't, but we don't know.
Yeah, if Winston plays, start him. He has an even better matchup. Otherwise, I go Zach Wilson. And also, if we heard of Xavier, I know Xavier Howard left that game last week. He had didn't he have a wrap on his hamstring? He might not even play. So that would make that secondary even worse.
I mean, he's been banged up off and on all season and preseason. So yeah, that's not going to scare me away from Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
I would say for now, you worry about waivers. Do you need to make a claim to pick up a quarterback? No, because look, are any of these guys really that different from the other? Not really. I would keep Winston, and then at the last minute, if he doesn't play and you have to pivot, it doesn't matter. Pick up Jimmy G or Smith. It's the same thing. I just wouldn't start Pickett. I would just say that. Just don't
not Pickett. Definitely not Pickett.
Not Pickett. All right, we're going to do a few more here. Try to get to all the super chats. We're almost kind of caught up. Let's get to Michael Fawcett once again. Appreciate that, Michael. First fantasy in 12 years. You haven't played for that long.
You took a break for 12 years? Wow.
Interesting. All right, 2 teams. All right, easing into it. That's a good idea. All right, so he wants a grade. We do this, by the way, all offseason. You guys check out our mock drafts. We grade each other's teams, and that kind of helps us sharpen the saw. So rate first team instead of small questions.
All right, 2 and 2.
All right, 2 and 2. Burrow, Pittman, Kirk, Henry, Hall, Pitts, London. Bench is Lockett, Samuel, Penny, Boyd, and Conklin.
So I was like, Burrow, Pittman, Kirk, Henry, Hall. Oh my God, this is a 10. And then Pitts. Pitts. Oh, Kyle Pitts. Still a very good team though. Burrow, Pittman, Kirk, Henry, Hall. I mean, that's great. You got some decent Lockett, Samuel, Penny, Boyd. I mean, you at some point you might even be playing Conklin over Pitts if this continues, right? It might actually happen. Who knows? Not a 10. It started as a 10, but it's still a very good team. I'm gonna say 8.5. 8.5.
Which is pretty good. And look, you should be better. I feel pretty good about this team. I think you will be really good shape by playoff time because obviously Burrow had a slow start. Pitts, very slow start. Henry, first 2 weeks, didn't really do anything, but now he's going off. And then actually the same thing with Hall, right? First couple weeks didn't really do a whole lot. And I feel like by the end of the year, you're going to have 2 stud running backs. You have 2 really good receivers and one of the top quarterbacks. And Pitts should be at least a top 5 tight end. So I feel like this is a strong contender. Look, I'm not giving up.
You're right. I hope you're right.
I'm not just being overly optimistic here. It'll happen eventually.
Look, if Pitts was what we thought Pitts was going to be, this would be like a 9 or a 9-5 team for sure. So if that happens with Pitts, then this team is loaded.
Although I will say I did draft Pitts a couple places, but I did say the breakout, like the Kyle Pitts owned fantasy, is happening next year, not this year.
True.
I did say that. I didn't want to overdraft him, but all right. And I think this is like the 4th or 5th chat. We appreciate that. Would you trade Ayuk for Higbee?
Oh man,
I mean, if you need a tight end,
I think he's saying for his flex.
To flex?
This is
no. I'd still rather have Ayuk.
I mean, I probably would, but he'd be getting so many targets. Like Ayuk gets like 3, and like sure he could score. Man, I can't believe I'm even thinking about this, but
Mr. Anti-tight end is.
I know, but
flex a tight end here.
I mean, tight end or not, a guy getting 7+ catches has lots of value. I don't care if he's a tight end or not. He has lots of value. And right now, Higbee is getting 7+ catches because that's all Stafford does is throw to Cup, throw to Higbee, throw to Cup, throw to Higbee. But I can't trade Brandon Ayuk for Higbee though. I still have to keep Ayuk. If you don't, I mean, unless you need a tight end. Like if you're talking about having Higbee as your tight end, then sure, I would trade Ayuk for Higbee if he's going to be your every week tight end.
I mean, it says flex, so yeah, if you're just doing it because you think he has more upside, I mean, it's not a terrible trade, but I'd rather just keep Ayuk. It's still more upside to me. We'll see. Maybe this Rams offense changes in some way. Jacob's asking, drop Brandon Cooks for no.
I can't do that. I cannot.
Don't get carried away.
Yeah, I can't do that. I got to keep Cooks.
Look, Cooks just had a big game, and now you can face the Jaguars. Cooks is the number 1 receiver for his team. Pick up George Pickens. Don't drop Cooks.
Yeah, drop somebody else. Got to be somebody else you could drop. I hope.
Cam Bam back. He wants to know: would you rather trade Lockett or Terry?
I mean, I'd rather trade Lockett. Like
Lockett.
Lockett's a fine flex play in PPR because Geno Smith could just hit him on those short, easy passes and get you like 12 points. But that's all he's ever going to do. Like Terry has way more upside, so I definitely would rather trade Lockett.
Yeah, I would definitely rather trade Lockett. Agree. And this is a good time now that everyone's saying Seattle is also good.
Yeah.
Sergio Sabaleta wants to know, would starters sit? Okay, so Barkley, Mixon, Pierce, Hall.
How do you have these guys?
In the hell do you have all these running backs?
How do you have these running backs?
I mean, smart drafting, I guess. Okay.
How many are we starting here?
I think it's safe to say you start Barkley, the number 1 running back in football.
Yes, you start Barkley, you start Mixon.
Pierce,
I probably have Pierce. I probably have Pierce ahead of Hall this week just because of the matchup. What's that?
Yeah, this week that might be a tough call with Pierce versus Mixon.
I still got to go Mixon just because of the usage, but I got Pierce above Hall because of the matchup.
Yeah.
But man, how did you do this? Great job. I don't know how you did it, but great job.
Great drafting. I mean, we don't know what your receivers are, granted.
Yeah.
This could have been his first 4 picks. I mean, I don't know. I go Mixon because, look, his matchup against the Ravens. That's a terrible defense. Yeah. So I actually put them in that order this week. Barkley, of course.
Yes.
Mixon to Pierce, Hall.
Agreed.
So I guess if you're starting 2 and flexing 1, Barkley, Mixon, flex Pierce. This is not a super chat, but it stood out to me. Has some sympathy here. 0-4 and desperate. That's why we're here. Okay. So what can we do with this team? 10 teams, half PPR. By the way, this is Quinn Van Galen. So Quinn, hopefully we can help you out. Hurts, JT, and Chubb. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be 0-4. Williams and CD, Joku, Schultz. Okay, well, London, Dobbs. What do you think?
I mean, this team doesn't look bad. It shouldn't be 0-4.
Yeah, I mean, must be some bad luck here because Hurts has been rocking it. Chubb has been killing it. CD's been good. It's
I'm thinking you've probably made some bad start sit decisions, which happens. We all do it. I do it. Like maybe you benched, Mike Williams for London, and Mike Williams went off that week and London didn't, or whatever you played. And JT obviously has had 3 bad weeks in a row, so that hurts. But CD's had nice games. Mike Williams had nice games. Hurt's been awesome. Chubb's been awesome. I mean, maybe you started Schultz, last week and the last 2 weeks, or last week and then the week he got hurt. So that's hurt you. I still think this team looks good to me. Like, definitely start Njoku this week. Don't start Schultz. If JT doesn't play, I think Stevenson is a great start this week against the Lions. So I would put him in with Chubb. And then, your wide receivers are great. Like, I think just playing Joe. Yeah, go ahead.
This team should be better.
Yeah, it should be better. It should be better for sure.
Record-wise. Yeah,
record-wise. So, yeah.
Hold JT. Don't make a desperation. Wow. This is not the time to get desperate and say, I'll trade JT for whatever. No, hold him. Chubb, of course, definitely hold. CD, you want to hold. Mike Williams. I don't move any of these guys. And even Schultz, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Once Dak gets back and, he's healthy. London, you don't want to trade him right now. I'd say you can drop Burks, in a 10-team league, just drop him and move on.
I
mean, hate to say, I wouldn't really mess with this team too much.
Yeah, I think you're getting the W this week for sure.
Yeah, there you go. Like the optimism. All right. Ali, once again, wants to know, would you drop Zay Jones for, I guess, DJ Moore?
Wow, DJ Moore on waiver wire, huh? I know I'm low on DJ Moore, but am I Zay Jones low? I don't think I'm Zay Jones low. I think why I'd pick up DJ Moore? Because as soon as DJ Moore has one big game, you can trade him. People will be like, okay, it's okay. He's back. He's good. He's fine. And you can trade him because everybody loves DJ Moore. So, like, I'm not like going crazy over Zay Jones. So yeah, I'll drop Zay Jones to pick up DJ Moore. Yes.
Like, DJ Moore can make a big play. He can, catch and run, even with Baker Mayfield. Maybe they switch to a different quarterback. Who knows? All right. Okay, so here is the super chat, and the question is for Sabesan. Thoughts on Caleb Huntley, Patterson out, obviously on IR. Also have Pitts. That I don't think that really matters. I also have Brian Robinson and Gibson. Okay, go ahead.
He's a guy you can stash in deeper leagues. I wouldn't stash him in shallower leagues because really, Damian Williams is going to be coming back soon too. So, maybe in like really deep, like 14 team, 16 team leagues, you can stash Caleb Huntley. But like 12 team, 10 teams, I'm not picking up Caleb Huntley.
He's kind of just a guy. He's a plotter. I mean, he doesn't have great speed, doesn't have big size. He's just a guy, and running the ball a lot. He's going to be very dependent on volume. But remember, Damian Williams is going to come back. Cordell Patterson will come back in probably 4 or 5 weeks, so he's not going to do much for you. So I would just ignore Caleb Huntley, to be honest. And then Robinson should be fine. Gibson, you can try to trade him, but you probably should have done that a week or 2 ago. So just hold for now. And then Quinn, because we were just talking about his team, he has the 4th most points, just been destroyed in matchups. Look, that's what happens in head-to-head, right?
Yep. So, yeah, just stay the course. That will hopefully change and start going your way, and then you'll be 4-4 before you know it.
There you go. Grant Clifton wants to know, trade Diggs for Jamar and DK. Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf. Would you trade Diggs for those two? I think I would.
Yeah, I think I would because I still prefer Jamar. And DK, whatever. He's had 2 nice games, but look, I'm not banking on that. I'm not banking on Geno Smith being like one of the best quarterbacks this year. I'm just not. Maybe he will. Maybe he will be, but I'm not going to bank on that. But I still prefer Jamar over Diggs. So I take it for that reason.
Yeah, this comes down to whether you feel like you're kind of buying low on Chase or making.
But you're really not, because Diggs is like right there with Chase. It's not like Diggs is way behind Chase. You're not really buying low on Chase here. Right? It's not like
Yeah,
you're trading.
not low, but look, before the season, people thought Chase is the number one receiver, or not number two,
Yeah.
right behind Cup. So it's like he's untouchable, untradeable. Now people are actually throwing him out there in the trade, as we've seen a few trades offered for Chase. So yeah, I would rather have Jamar. Piano Man back for an encore. Trade Kelsey for Chase. There you go, Chase for Chase and Waller. Would you trade Kelsey?
Yeah, I know. I never want to give up. It's hard to give up Kelsey. I get it, but you're getting a stud wide receiver and you're getting a decent tight end, like a good enough tight end that you can just set in your lineup and not really stress about. So yeah, I hate giving up Kelsey. I hate giving up that advantage. But if I'm going to get Jamar Chase and a tight end that I feel okay about, I'm going to do it.
I would do it. I mean, I don't love Waller this year, but he's startable every week, and you're getting Chase. Yeah, I would. I hate giving up Kelsey, but I think for this you have to.
Yeah.
And then the Fractal Rain. That's a great name.
Okay.
I might have to. The picture doesn't seem to match the name. I don't feel like those two things go together. Is it just me? All right.
Yeah, I get it. I don't even know what the Fractal Rain is. It reminds me of like maybe a video game or something, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little cognitive dissonance here. Like they don't match. All right. Two flex, Lazard, Rondale Moore, Khalil Herbert, Brees Hall.
Definitely Brees Hall.
Yes.
And then I will say if Montgomery is out, I'm going Herbert. If Montgomery plays, I'm going Lazard.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I might be tempted to lean to Lazard. I don't think it's a smash spot for him. It also depends if this is PPR or not. Full PPR, I'm tempted to lean to Lazard, but I'll go with that. Look, if he doesn't play at all, Montgomery, then I'll go Herbert. Let's see. And then another question here from Sabesan. Murray, Diggs, Pittman, Gibson. I guess that's Brian, right? Robinson, Mostert, Pitts, Devontae, Gallup, PPR, best lineup. Okay, well, I only see one quarterback listed, so I'm guessing Murray's your best quarterback.
Yeah, and Diggs and Pittman for sure.
Gotta start, yeah.
Starting
Pitts, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta start Pitts. If there's a flex, I'm going Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
And I guess at running back, you got to go Gibson and Mostert, I guess. I'm assuming that's Brian Robinson, and I'm not going to put Brian, even if he's active this week, I'm not playing him. Like, you can't expect him to just go out there and get 15 touches, first game. So I guess you got to go Gibson and Mostert because I don't see any other running backs.
I mean, I guess I get why you're having to start these Washington running backs because Patterson is hurt, right? You're without him, but yeah, I'm gonna agree. You just go Mostert, hope for the best, and I wouldn't start Robinson yet. And Gibson will get some touches, at least we think so. Yeah. And then Yona Ayala, should I trade CD and Pierce for Mixon?
This is too much. This is not buying low. This is too much because I think CD has been awesome with Cooper Rush. No reason to think he's not going to be awesome when Dak gets back. And Pierce has been awesome. So even though I do really like Mixon, you're giving up two really, really, really good players here. So I think this is too much for Mixon.
Yeah, I agree. That is too much. I mean, you should get at least something else back in return. So no, don't trade both those guys just for Mixon. And then Jake Lowe, 14-man league. Mahomes, Sutton, London, Fournette, Harris, Everett, and Jacobs. Should I trade for a stud receiver? If so, who?
I mean, you always should trade for a stud receiver if you can.
But I don't know. You got Najee. No one's probably giving up a stud receiver for Najee right now, right?
No, I mean, I'm looking at your team. Like, the problem is if you trade, like, let's say you trade Fournette. Let's say you traded Fournette for Pittman or something like that, which some people might say, like, oh, I prefer Fournette. I get it, but like, you could make that deal happen, right? You could. I'm sure if you went out and offered Fournette for Pittman, you could get Pittman. Now you're looking at like Najee and Jacobs as your RBs. Are you okay with that? Oh wait, are you okay with that? Like, are you okay with Najee and Jacobs as your running backs?
That's the thing is, of course you should trade for stud receiver in a 14-man league. It might be hard to pull off. I mean, If someone is willing to take,
What about Jacobs
I'd
for
like to
Pittman?
do what?
Jacobs for Pittman.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If someone's willing to take Jacobs and they, are happy with him plus a receiver like a London or something, you could try it.
I think you could get Jacobs for Pittman pretty easily right now. People are very low on
Straight
Michael
up.
Pittman. Oh, look, you and I are not low on Pittman, but a lot of people are low on Pittman. They think this offense is terrible. Matt Ryan is terrible. Even though Matt Ryan just threw for 350 yards, he just threw for 350 yards, and I get it. Pittman didn't have a great game, but it shows that it's there. And there's going to be games. There's going to be games where Pittman gets tons and tons of targets. So I think you could do Jacobs for Pittman straight up right now, like fairly easily, honestly.
Well, then go for it. That's probably the guy you try to get, because I don't think anybody's going to give you Adams for nothing. Maybe Chase, but yeah. All right. Landon Grammer. Here's the team. Here we got Russ, Kamara, Wilson, Chase, Pittman, Hawkinson, Sutton, and Dobbins. On the bench, got Edmonds, McKenzie picks, Gainwell suggestions.
No, I'm not starting any of those guys over the guys you have. So
no. Yeah. A little shallow there on the depth. Don't know how deep this league is or who's out there on waivers. You know what? Edmonds maybe drop and try to get someone with more upside. Gainwell too. Those guys are kind of expendable, so just depends. All right. Let's see. Missed one back here. I believe this is Super Chat number 5 or 6 from Big Luscious 68. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Is this ridiculous? Trade Lenny for Breece Hall.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Like, guys, the signs are there. Lenny is not going to be a 90% workhorse running back. Like, they need Leonard Fournette in the playoffs. The Bucs are not trying to win right now. They need Lenny healthy for the playoffs. This is going to become more and more of a split. It already has started to become more of a split. And Breece Hall is going the opposite way. He's taking over this backfield. He's a rookie. They don't care. They'll run him into the ground. They have no issues with that. So yes, I take Breece Hall over Lenny, definitely.
Yeah, not ridiculous at all. I could definitely see Breece Hall being more valuable when it matters most, which is the end of the season. Yeah. And Tyler, I think I'm just going to call this. Let's say this is our last super chat of the night. We may have one more. I'll double check. 0-4. Still early. 12-man league, full PPR. Got Burrow, Kamara, Cook, Higgins, London, Conklin, Pierce. On the bench, Lockett, Hunt, Myers, Dotson. How optimistic are you? Not too much.
Yeah, the problem is, the biggest issue here is you have Higgins, and then your wide receivers are just kind of like okay. Like, I know London had a couple nice games, but we're kind of seeing him, kind of fall back down a little bit. I don't know. This team needs to make a move. This team needs to do something. This team needs help. Yes. So, you can't sit around waiting for this team to turn around. Like, I hate to give up Dameon Pierce right now, but his value is like, if anybody on here, his value is the highest from the guys that I see. So if you could trade Dameon Pierce for a stud wide receiver, not a Jamar Chase, of course, but like a really good, wide receiver one type, like some of the guys we've talked about. Maybe like a Hollywood, somebody like that, who's not like viewed as a total stud, but you can get like a really good wide receiver like that, because you need another wide receiver, but you also need a running back. Because now you're looking at Cook and Kamara. This is tough.
Yeah. For a 12-man league, the wide receivers really need to be better. London can't be your number 2 guy. Lockett and Myers are really more just flex and shouldn't be your number 3 guys. I might try to trade Kamara based on his name value to see if you can get more in return and just roll with Pierce the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would prefer Pierce over Kamara for sure.
So or you know what? At this point, maybe just just see who the other guy wants, right? Just like you just have to do something. Just try to get a
Yeah.
really, really good receiver and just say, like, who do you prefer, Pierce or Kamara?
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, you need to do something though. You gotta make changes here for sure.
Yeah, but you're much better at running back than at receiver, so that's what we would do. Just trade one of those running backs, your top 3 guys, and get just a really solid receiver. And then Sergio again, wide receiver starts at Pittman, Wilson, Dobbs, Pierce. I don't know, Pierce.
See, people are low on Pittman. Like this is easily Pittman. This is easily.
Yeah.
I know it's a tough matchup against the Broncos, Patrick Surtain. I get all that, but I can't sit Pittman for any of these guys. I can't.
No, I agree. I mean, Pittman for sure. Yeah, I guess we're talking about Pittman and like with like Dobbs and guys like that. I mean, just keep rolling with Pittman. And then one more question from Sabasan.
No,
do you think I should keep
drop
Julio Jones? No.
Look, it was funny. My friend I was telling me about, the football fan, he's a Bucs fan, and we were talking about Julio Jones. I'm like, yeah, they said he got nicked up, but did he even play? Like, how do you get nicked up when you don't even play? Like he caught like one pass and he got nicked up and couldn't return to the game. Like, guys, Julio is dust. He's dust. It's over for Julio. It's over. You drop him before drop him. And if Kenneth Walker is available, I pick him up over Boone and Gainwell. For sure.
Yes, definitely more upside. Boone.
Yeah. Drop Julio, pick up a game. Kenneth Walker.
All right. And then I think we're all caught up on the super chats. Our last chat, our most loyal viewer. That would be my wife.
Thank you.
We're at 22K, guys. Thanks so much. We couldn't have done it without you. I mean, literally.
Help us get to 100K so Pierre can have a good Wi-Fi and isn't all blurry.
Yes. I'm all for that. No kidding. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll be with you again on Saturday. We'll do it even longer. Start-sit questions, all that we can handle. Throw matters, by the way. Join Discord right now if you haven't already. It's free. You can ask as many questions as you want. Subscribe if you haven't already. And good luck on those waiver wire moves. Hopefully you make some good deals as well. All right.
See you guys.